A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
One of the many useless nuggets of soi-disant philosophy that clutter the mind of man is the half-truth that what you don't know won't hurt you. The story you're about to hear categorically denies this eternal verity. In it, a man meets death face to face because of what, or rather whom, he did not know. A girl he had never met, but whose haunting beauty led him to the brink of doom. The role of the hapless and harassed victim is played by an actor well known to American audiences as the newspaper correspondent in Foreign Intrigue. Tonight he doffs his trench coat for a pitchman's benny and abandons the cobblestones of Stockholm for the sidewalks of Chicago's Loop. Listen then as Jerome Thor stars in 19 Deacon Street, which begins in just 1 minute.
We have together ample capacity and freedom to defend freedom. This is NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Day after day, month after month, since April 4th, 1949, the activities of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization have moved steadily forward on many fronts. This complete cooperation must and will continue, because the concept of national self-sufficiency is out of date. Countries of the free world are interdependent, and only in genuine partnership, and by combining their resources, sharing tasks in many fields, can progress and safety be found. The United States of America is a part of NATO. You should be aware of and alert to the objectives and programs of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization.
And now, 19 Deacon Street, starring Jerome Thor. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Neckties are my business. Wholesale. I came to Chicago with a red-hot line and an exclusive to the Middle West all sewed up. But first I had to find a place to do business and a place to live. Well, some ham actor on the train tipped me off to a theatrical rooming house at 19 Deacon Street. So I go to this place, and the dame that answers the door looks like a tired old duchess.
Oh, good afternoon.
I'm looking for a room.
I'm very sorry. We have no vacancy.
Oh? Well, an actor on the train said maybe you could put me up.
An actor? Are you an actor?
Well, yeah, sort of.
Well, I do hate to turn you away if you're in the profession. There was a time when we catered exclusively to theatrical people.
Any kind of a room would be okay.
Well, come in, young man. We'll see what we can do. I do have a room that I've never rented. It's not really fixed up for renting.
Look, lady, I'm not particular. I'm away all day, and all I want is a place to sleep, you know.
Well, I'm going to show this room to you on one condition.
Yeah?
This room belongs to someone very dear to me. She's away, but, well, I expect her back sometime.
So?
I want you to promise that no matter what, you will not disturb anything or ask any questions about her.
That's a funny request.
But I must make it. Promise?
Okay, it's a deal.
I'll turn on the light. Well?
It's kind of feminine, isn't it? Yellow fluffy curtains, costume dolls, cold cream and grease paint. And hey, ladies' stockings.
Yes, we haven't changed it at all because someday she'll be coming back and she'll find everything just as she left it. She's good, you see, no matter what they say.
Is this her picture on the mantel?
Yes. Isn't she beautiful?
Yeah. Yeah, I never saw such a beautiful dame. When do you expect her back?
I don't know.
Oh, didn't she say?
No, she didn't say a word. One day she was here, and the next she was gone, without a word.
How long ago did she leave?
In a few days, it will be 10 years.
Well, I rented the room. When the landlady left, I took the French doll off the pillow and flopped down on the bed for a little nap. But from where I lay, I could look straight at the picture of the beautiful blonde. And I felt the back of my neck crawl. There was something about her eyes and her long golden hair. Finally, I couldn't stand it any longer. I jumped up and turned the picture to the wall. Then I dozed off. There she was, in my dream, crying. Just her face, soft gray eyes and the golden hair. What was she crying about? What was wrong? What's wrong, Laverne? Laverne! Laverne! What's the matter, Laverne?
Mr. Schwartz! Mr. Schwartz!
Laverne, what are you crying?
Oh, Mr. Schwartz! Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. Just a bad dream, I guess.
Oh, but I heard you calling out. You were calling Laverne.
Who?
Laverne. That's the name you were calling, wasn't it?
Well, I don't know. Laverne. Yeah, I guess I was.
How did you know, Mr. Schwartz? How did you know her name was Laverne?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how I knew. I knew a name. I knew the name of the blonde, but I'd never met her. I pestered the landlady for details, begged her to tell me Laverne's last name and how she had disappeared. But the old dame wouldn't talk. So when I finally got rid of her, I locked the door and went to work to find out for myself. I went through that room with a fine-tooth comb, but I couldn't find a thing to tell me who the girl was. Not a letter, not a card, not an envelope, nothing. But I did find a key in a jacket pocket. Had a tag on it, and the figure 9 was written on the tag. There was nothing in the room the key would fit, but maybe someplace I'd find the lock it was made for. And then, high on the closet door, I found a telephone number scrawled with eyebrow pencil. Aragon, 8612. I went downstairs to the hall phone, dialed it, and got a busy signal. Well, at least the number was still alive. And maybe, just maybe, somebody on the other end could tell me about Laverne. An hour later, I was still dialing that number and still getting a busy signal. So finally, I went up back to my room. After all, what business was it of mine if some babe disappeared 10 years ago? I had my own headaches. I had 400 dozen fancy neckties to get rid of. But Laverne was still in that room. I felt it in my bones, and I couldn't sleep. In the morning, I started scrounging around the loop, looking for a place to set up shop. And I finally found it down on South State. A building all boarded up. It looked like it was once a theater, and it looked like it hadn't been used for 50 years. So the rent couldn't be too high. And it was big and central. So I just ankled around to the alley and tried the stage door. Hey, anybody in there?
Hey, just a minute. What do you think you're doing?
Huh? Oh, hello, officer. I was looking for the janitor.
Does it look like there'd be a janitor around with the doors all padlocked like this?
Yeah, but there's a light burning inside.
It's just a work light on the stage. Burns all the time. What do you want, mister?
I want to rent the joint. Where can I find the owner?
Rent it, huh? You better get in touch with Jasper Florence.
The big stage producer?
That's right. Used to run this little burlesque house before he was in the Chips. Got his start here. You can probably get him on the phone at his office.
Okay, pal. Thanks a lot.
Good morning, Florence Productions.
Hello. I'd like to speak to Mr. Florence, please.
Who's calling, please?
My name's Schwartz.
What do you wish to talk to Mr. Florence about, please? He's very busy.
Yeah, I know, but I ain't no ham actor looking for a job. Tell him I want to rent some space from him.
Rent space?
Yeah, the old Florence Theater on State Street.
Oh.
Well? Hello?
I'm sorry, but the Florence Theater is not for rent.
Not for rent? But why?
Mr. Floren's orders.
I burned up. The nerve of that guy letting his theater sit there empty while I needed it so bad. Well, I wandered back to the rooming house, got a detective mystery, and tried to pass the time away. But it didn't work. I couldn't think of a thing except Laverne. Then I lay back on the bed, and I must have been dead tired, because in nothing flat, I was out. And there she was again. That beautiful girl sobbing. This time I was sure she was trying to say something to me. Trying to get a message of some kind to me. But I just couldn't understand.
Find me. Find me.
What was she trying to say? Was she asking me to find her?
Find me. Find me. Find me.
In a moment, we continue with the second act of Suspense.
Another visit with Joe and Daphne Forsythe.
Joe? Joe?
Huh?
Come on, Joe, get up. It's 2 o'clock.
What do you want?
Joe, you gotta get off that couch and fix up the yard.
Oh,
Joe!
Saturday. Let me sleep.
No, we've got to keep the place in good shape. Now rise and shine.
Oh, come on, Daphne. I'll do it tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Always tomorrow. You can't keep putting things off.
I don't. Who was it bought the savings bond to take care of our future?
Who suggested the idea?
Well, who read the story in the paper that told about bonds being a good investment because they pay off $4 for every 3?
And who pointed out the article for you to read?
Well...
Right. And now I'm pointing out the yard to you. Our bonds are guaranteed by the government. Our grass isn't. Mow.
That proves it.
What?
A little knowledge in the hands of the wrong person can be dangerous.
What does that mean?
You know one plain, simple fact. Bonds are a good investment. Now, you not only use it to get me to buy a bond a month on a payroll savings plan, but you'll probably use it against me the rest of my life.
If it gets you to mow the yard, I will. Move out, boy.
I'm going. But understand this. My next wife is going to show more respect for my hard work.
So would I if I ever saw any. Bye.
Murder.
And now, starring Jerome Thor, Act 2 of 19 Deacon Street.
It took 2 sleeping pills before I got rid of Laverne. And the next morning, I set out to see Mr. Florence. Personal. He lived in a very classy pad up on the Gold Coast. He looked just like his pictures. Tall and gray-looking with a nice sort of a smile. But his necktie was lousy.
I believe my secretary told you yesterday that I'm not interested in renting the theater.
I'm sure she did. But, Mr. Florence, did you ever have a hunch?
A hunch? Oh, yes, of course.
Well, I got a hunch about your theater.
I see. I'm afraid it's out of the question.
But why?
Well, it's where I produced my first shows, and it has memories for me. Not so pleasant. Opening it up again would be like opening up a part of my past that I'd rather keep closed.
But ain't that kind of silly, Mr. Florence? I wouldn't put on shows there. All I want to do is sell neckties and wholesale lots.
I admire your persistence, Mr. Schwartz, but the answer will always be no.
Okay. You win for now. But I ain't giving up. Because when I want something real bad, I usually get it. Now, here's my card. I've written my phone number on it in case you change your mind. And you'll change your mind, Mr. Florence.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. As you say, I'm persistent. So, with nothing better to do, I spent the next couple of days on the phone, bugging Mr. Florence about his theater and trying to get the Aragon number I found in Laverne's closet. Lawrence kept telling me no, and the Aragon number keeps on sending a busy signal. But, like I say, I'm persistent. And finally, it answers.
Hello, little Joe Sorrento.
Huh?
This is little Joe Sorrento. Who you want?
Is Laverne there?
Oh, we got to know Laverne. What the number you call?
Aragon 8612.
You got the number, but we no got to know Laverne.
And where are you located?
Corner North Clark and Willoughby.
Thanks. I'll be over for a pizza. Little Joe Sorrento was a run-down spaghetti joint. I went inside, and right away over in the corner, I saw the telephone that had been giving me the busy signal. And no wonder. It's a public phone booth, and right now one guy is in it and 2 others are waiting for it. I go over to the bar and cut up touches with Little Joe, the proprietor. How long you had this place, Joe?
14 or nearly 15 years. Why?
You've seen a lot of people come and go, huh?
Sure, plenty.
You got a memory for faces?
Look, you see I'm busy, mister.
Here, take a look at this picture.
So what?
You recognize her?
Well, sure, she been in here a long time ago.
What's her name, Joe?
I can't remember her name. She was a showgirl, I think. Claire something.
Wasn't it Laverne, Joe?
That's right. Laverne Claire, yeah. She always come in with a big shot.
The big shot?
Well, it wasn't so big shot then, but he was going to places. Then she jilted him and run off with another guy. Yeah, I remember very good because he used to come in here after that. He'd get drunk all the time. To break him up pretty bad.
And who is this big shot? You remember that, Joe?
Sure. A big producer. Jasper Florence.
In just a moment, we continue with the third act of Suspense.
The Evolution of a Medal. In 1847, during the war with Mexico, Congress established a citation award for conspicuous service by members of the United States Army. This was the Certificate of Merit, strictly for Army enlisted men. In 1891, almost a half-century later, non-commissioned officers became eligible to receive the certificate. No medal went with this award until 1905, when a coin-shaped medal in bronze bearing a Roman eagle was approved and adopted. The suspension ribbon was vertically striped in red, white, and blue. In July 1918, Congress abolished the Certificate of Merit, replacing it with the Distinguished Service Medal and the Distinguished Service Cross. The medal is awarded for exceptionally meritorious service to the government, while the cross is reserved to honor extraordinary heroism in connection with operations against an armed enemy. Before the Certificate of Merit was discontinued in 1918, 1,211 enlisted men had received the award. Given in recognition of gallantry in action or exceptionally meritorious service during time of peace, the Certificate of Merit retains an important place among America's historic medals.
And now, starring Jerome Thor, Act 3 of 19 Deacon Street.
Well, that was that. So, first thing tomorrow, I'd go out and find some other place to peddle my ties. But when I got home, I found a note from my landlady. It said, Jasper Florence called. He's changed his mind about the theater. We'll meet you there at 8 o'clock. Well, I hot-footed it over there. The padlocks were off the front door, so I walked in. No one was in the lobby, so I went into the theater. And there in the center of the stage was the one big work light the cop told me Florence kept burning all these years. I started to get a feeling in my stomach. Sort of a scary feeling. There on that big stage is where Laverne danced. Oh, she must have killed her audience. I walked down the long aisle, then up the stairs onto the stage and looked around. Way up above me in the shadows were the flies alongside the catwalk, and the asbestos curtain, an old-fashioned one, and a heavy wooden roller. I was looking at it when I saw something that made me almost drop in my tracks. I saw somebody move. I was sure of it. Just off stage, a guy moved in the darkness. Come out of there, you! Out of there! He didn't move, so I walked over closer. In the dressing room, the guy I saw was Maury Swartz. That's right, me, Maury Swartz, reflected in a dressing table mirror. But just then I saw a door to another dressing room across the hall. And on it was the number 9. I remembered the key I had picked up in Laverne's room. In a flash, I had it out of my pocket and was trying it in the door. Number 9, the tag said, and it worked. I stepped in, and then I stepped on something. It was dark, and I couldn't figure what it was, so I lit a match. There on the floor were the white bones of a skeleton. Beside them, long golden strands of hair. Then I knew. Florence had killed her. He had killed her, then closed his theater and locked it up so she'd never be found. No wonder he wouldn't drink. And because I wouldn't take no for an answer, he thinks I know something about her murder. That's why he called me down to the theater. That's why he left the door unlocked. To get me in here and never let me out. He's in here somewhere now. But where? I had to get out of there fast. There was only one exit across the stage, over the footlights, and out the door I'd come in. I crossed to the stage and reached the footlights when suddenly the master curtain was unrolling, crashing down on me. I jumped back just in time.
Too bad, Schwartz. If that roller had hit you, it would have saved me the trouble.
Florence, where are you?
You can't see me, Schwartz, but I can see you. I'm on the catwalk in the shadows, but you're well lighted by the worklight. You make a very good target. I wouldn't do that, Schwartz. You make one move to put out the lighter to get away, I'll cut these counterweights and you'll be smashed to nothing.
You can't get away with this, Florence.
Can't I? I got away with it once and I will again. You don't have much of a chance, do you? The master curtain has you fenced in on the stage and you can't get over the footlights.
I can get out by the side, Florence.
That's a long walk, my friend. And long before you take it, I'll drop these sandbags on you.
Maybe I'll be faster than you will. Then what, Florence? Then you'll fry for killing that girl.
She had it coming. And so have you, my friend, for meddling. And you're going to get it. Because I'm cutting the weights loose now.
Look out, that railing!
That's a long way to fall. And an awful way to die. Even for you, Florence. Well, there's the story. If you don't believe it, I wouldn't blame you. But that's the way it happened. Oh, by the way, if you happen to need any ties, I got a nice new line in. Hope you won't think it's in bad taste. But these ties, and they come in all colors, got a girl's picture on them. I call it the Laverne tie. So don't forget, look me up. I got a little stand in Rosenblatt's department store. You can't miss it. It's in the bargain basement.
Suspense, in which Jerome Thor starred in William N. Robeson's production of 19 Deacon Street by Lawrence Marcus and Robert Webster Light. Supporting Mr. Thor in 19 Deacon Street were Paula Winslow, Sidney Scott, Jack Crucian, Ted DeCorsia, and Norm Alden. Listen. Listen again next week when we return with another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Suspense has been brought to you through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
almost every malefactor starts yelling, "I was framed," as soon as the law puts the arm on him. And sometimes they have been. Nobody will ever know how many inmates of state's prisons are there because of circumstantial evidence. Of such a one is our story concerned. Listen then as Charles McGraw stars in The Silver Frame.
And now, The Silver Frame, starring Charles McGraw. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
They check me out with a $10 bill and $22.50 suit that the taxpayers give you when you leave. I took a quick look back at the place where I'd left 2.5 years of my life in a cell. Just because a Southern California district attorney had to have a pigeon in a hurry once. Had to bad enough to frame a guy and get a conviction his favorite way. Circumstantial evidence. I started walking. Just walking with no walls or iron bars or guys with sawed-off shotguns to stop me. And somebody yelled at me. It was a reporter. A little rat named Melvin Lester who'd crucify his own mother to get a headline. I kept on walking.
Gee, wait a minute.
I got nothing to say to you. Or the dummy rag you work for. The morons that read it.
All right, can't you let bygones be bygones? I'm just a guy working for a living, beat it. All right. You got nothing to say to me? So you say you were framed. How'd you like to get even?
With who?
The district attorney? All those white guys down there in L.A. How'd you like to frame them for a change?
For that I get a grand?
Sure. What I'm telling you.
Come on. Let you buy me a drink. First sell the booze in more than 2 years. Okay, what's the pitch, Melvin?
Well, there's been quite a lot of cases like yours lately. Circumstantial evidence. The DA looking for a quick conviction and building himself up for the election, you know.
Yeah, I know.
So my publisher's tangled with the DA a couple of times already, so we want to lower the boom on him. That's where you come in.
How?
Like this. There's a dame, see?
What dame?
Well, that's all arranged. You pay her a little social visit, see? You cut yourself a little with a butcher knife or something, and there's blood, she screams, you beat it. But you leave your hat and your driver's license.
I don't have one.
So we'll get you one. The neighbors hear the scream. They see your car driving out the driveway. They call the cops. Now, the cops don't find the body, of course, but they find blood in your car.
Yeah, go on.
They pinch you, and you tell a straight story. The blood is an accident. Then you had a quarrel, and she started to yell, and you left. But they don't believe you. They book you on suspicion of murder, and we play it up big. Cops picking on ex-con, you know, that angle. You sweat it out, and you clam up.
What happens to the dame?
2 days later, the dame comes back from Palm Springs, and we flash it all over the front page. Her story, your story, circumstantial evidence again. We bring up all the other cases. We just keep right after him. You know, once the DA don't even dare show his face on the street. He's dead, finished. Well, how do you like it?
I like it.
Okay, kid. You're in.
Well, what about the dough?
Half now, half when we spring you. Okay?
$1,000 and the DA thrown in. Okay. Lester paid my way down to L.A., bought me a new outfit and a hat with my monogram and the sweatband, rented me a car and checked me into a hotel. While I was soaking in the tub, he went over to his boss office, the big shot publisher, L.B. Ross, brought back 5 bills and the dame's name and address. It turned out to be a beach house at Malibu. This was the first surprise. I sort of expected it to be some third-rate downtown hotel. But the big surprise came when the front door opened.
Mr. Gale?
Well, that's right. Are you Miss Fox?
Yes. Won't you come in?
Thanks.
What's the matter, Mr. Gates? You look a little startled.
Maybe I am.
Why?
Well, I hadn't expected you to be so...
So what?
Attractive is a polite word for it, I guess.
Why aren't you investigating attractive women, Mr. Gates?
Not where I've been for the past few years.
Oh, of course, I've forgotten. Can I make you a drink?
Oh, thanks.
Why is it you always expect that anyone who's been in prison will be lantern-jawed and have a scar on his face or something? To tell you the truth, I'm a little startled myself.
Quite a layout you have here.
It is nice, isn't it?
Yeah, right over the ocean.
Uh-huh. Look here at this window. You know, from this window, when the tide is in, you can actually dive into 30 feet of water. I've done it.
That I'd like to see.
Would you? By the way, what's your first name?
Steve. What's yours?
Silver.
Silver? What? Oh, I got a silver fox.
It's my real name, too. One of Dad's ideas. Oh, he was a character.
Yeah, I'll bet. And I'm another, huh?
What?
Come on. What's this all about? What's the angle?
Well, didn't they tell you?
Oh, sure. They told me. But they didn't tell me anything about a dame living in a $50,000 beach house with $500,000 of clothes on her back.
Steve, you're hurting my arm.
Talk. I'm doing this job for a lousy $1,000, about what your kind would spend on a weekend in Las Vegas. No, come on. You're not in this for dough. You're in it for something else, and I'm going to find out what it is. Wait, you will.
You were hurting me.
Well, you didn't have to bite clear through my hand, did you?
Well, anyway, now you won't have to lie about our having a quarrel, will you? Oh, it's bleeding. Here, I'll get something.
Never mind that. Just talk.
All right, Steve. I am doing it for the money, really.
What about all this?
The house is rented for only a month, and the clothes go back to Western costume.
Oh.
Steve, you hurt me.
I'm sorry.
You know what my father used to say when I was a little girl?
The character?
Uh-huh. He'd say, I'll kiss it and make it all well.
Like this?
Uh-huh. Like this.
It must have been a couple of hours later when we heard the car that was supposed to pick her up blowing its horn down the road. I let her out the front way as quietly as I could. Went back to finish up the rest of the job. I knocked over a couple of chairs and shoved the furniture around some to make it look as though she'd put up a good fight. Then I threw my new hat with the initials in the band over in the corner and dropped the bloody handkerchief that I'd wrapped my hand in on the kitchen floor. About an hour after that, I was back at the hotel. I corked off as soon as I did it. Hello?
Excuse me. I must have the wrong number.
Oh, what number do you want?
Excuse me.
He's always gone, so I got up a little later. I knew I was going to have a pretty busy day, and besides, I'd ordered all the morning papers, and I wanted to read about myself. When I opened the door to get them, there was a little guy standing out there.
Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
Excuse me.
I looked after him for a second because his voice sounded exactly like the one who had wakened me on the phone. So what? I went back to bed with the papers. Sure enough, there it was, right on the front page, how a young woman tentatively identified as Miss Silver Fox had been murdered in a swank Malibu beach house, and how the police expected an arrest momentarily. And how the remains, charred almost beyond recognition, had been found in the incinerator. That's what it said. Right there in black type. They'd found her body. I was still lying there, shaking and looking at the ceiling when the DA came for me.
All right, Gates. Let's go downtown and talk it over.
Starring Charles McGraw, Act 2 of The Silver Frame.
Now, why did you kill her?
I didn't.
You was in love with her, wasn't you?
No.
Did you just get out of queue? You went to see. You found out she was double-crossed you, so you killed her.
Come on. Don't be a sap. Talk.
He's right, Steve. Why don't you make a full statement? Maybe there were extenuating circumstances. Maybe we can make a deal.
I told you the whole story. I've been
framed. Sure, you're always framed. What about the blood? What about your hat? What about the body?
I don't know anything about a body. The blood is where she bit me.
You admit you had a fight with her.
Sure, but what about? Look, what's the use of putting me through this routine? Call the paper like I told you and talk to Mr. Rawson.
I've got news for you, Steve. We did.
Yeah?
He says it's the most cockeyed story he ever heard in his life. In short, he says you're a liar.
Oh, look, he's covering. He's scared. All right, then, get a hold of Malvin Lester. He's a rat, but he can't be rat enough to let an innocent man go to the gas chamber just because his boss tells him to.
I'm afraid we can't get a hold of Lester.
Why not?
He's in the morgue.
Who killed him?
That's our worry.
Oh, it shouldn't worry me a bit, huh?
Steve, be smart. Do what I tell you. Maybe we can reduce it to second degree. I can almost promise you the worst you'll get is right.
Oh, thanks.
But I'm warning you. If you make us go to trial on a first-degree murder indictment, I'll send you to the gas chamber just as sure as...
Okay. Oh, okay, I'll talk.
Well, now you're using your head. Here, there's a statement all made out. Just a general confession, you understand. We'll get the details later. All you have to do is sign.
I'm not going to sign anything you wrote.
Okay, write your own statement.
I don't want to write anything.
Well, what do you want? You just
Look. Take me out there to her place. I'll go through the whole thing for you, just the way it happened. Every word, every move. You can have a stenographer. Take it down, and then I'll sign.
Well, I guess there's nothing wrong with that.
It's a deal, then?
It's a deal.
It was dark when we got out to the beach. I was taking a long, crazy, desperate chance, and I knew it. If it didn't work, well, the spot I was in, it wouldn't make much difference anyway. And then we were inside of the house, and they were all standing around, and I was in the center of the stage.
All right, Steve. Do your stuff.
Well, we had a few drinks, and, well, I hadn't been in the same room with a woman for 2.5 years, and anyway, she fought me off, and that's when she bit me. That happened here. We were standing right here.
Then what happened?
Well, she broke away and ran across the room and to about where you were standing, only back a little further.
Here?
Yeah, about there.
And what did you do?
When she bit me, it hurt. I was startled. I backed up a couple of steps toward the window until I was standing about here.
Then what did you do?
Then I jumped. One thing I can do is swim. And, brother, I did some plain and fancy swimming that night. Even with my clothes on, I must have made 30 yards underwater before I had to come up for air. I could see them running around with flashlights on the beach, but out where I was, it was dark as a pocket. There were only 5 of them. They couldn't cover the whole beach. I made for a little rocky point about 100 yards north and pulled myself out of the water. I could see the flashlights all huddled together down by the house, and I started crawling up the embankment to the road. At the top, I stopped for a second or two listening, and then poked my head over the edge. And right into the face of the little man I'd seen that morning in my hotel. I grabbed him hard.
Please, don't.
Put it down, and I'll kill him.
I won't. I want to help you. That's why I'm here.
You got a car?
Of course, right here. Right by the side of the road.
Then head for it. I'll be right behind you. One funny move, and I'll break your neck, and I mean it.
Yeah. Oh, follow me. Here's the car. You see?
Yeah.
Well, get in. Hurry. Oh, boy. You two let me some wild goose chase today. Uptown, downtown, out to the beach, and then you jump out the window into the ocean. Oh, boy, I sure earned my money today.
From who? Who pays you your money?
Well, the person I work for.
Who's that?
Well, someone who's interested in your welfare.
Oh, come on. What's behind all this?
Please, Mr. Gates, if you'll just be patient a little longer, I promise you that where I'm taking you, you'll get all the answers.
After climbing up through the Malibu Mountains for a quarter of an hour, we turned into the big iron gate and drove through about 3 acres of estate. I had a hunch whose place it was, and the house made the hunch look even better. Big and impressive and strictly top bracket. Milton rang the bell, but when the door opened, my hunch flew higher than a kite. Because standing there was the girl I was supposed to have murdered, Silver Fox.
Steve, he escaped out of the beach house.
Don't let that man in here.
Don't be silly, darling. We've got to let him in now.
I kind of thought I'd find you here, Mr. Rawson. It is Mr. Rawson, the eminent publisher, isn't it?
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're talking about.
I think you do.
We better kill him now, Mr. Rawson. That's the best thing to do. That's why I brought him here.
You put away that gun, Milton, and stop acting childish.
All right, now. Just for openers. Who's Milton?
Well, let's say he's my brother.
All right, let's.
You're very foolish not to let me kill him now. He's a very dangerous man.
Please, don't talk about things like that.
Well, Steve, it looks as though we'll have to come to some sort of an arrangement.
You want to tell me about it?
Yes. You see, Charlie, that is Mr. Rawson. Well, he's been very good to me for the last year or so.
And the house was rented and the clothes go back to Western costume.
Well, you don't expect a girl to tell a man everything the first time she meets him, do you?
Okay, so he's been very good to you.
Yes. In fact, he even insured my life and made my brother Milton the beneficiary.
For how much?
$300,000.
Gates, I swear to you, I mean nothing about this. The proposition that Lester put to you was absolutely genuine.
Well, maybe it was to start with. But, Mr. Rawson, I think I could make a pretty accurate guess as to who suggested the little stunt of framing the DA. It was Silver, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
I thought so. She's a very smart girl, this one. By the way, what happened to your reporter, Malvin Lester?
Who can trust a man like Lester? Something had to happen to him.
And the girl in the incinerator?
It's just a girl, a friend of mine, and nobody, really.
So you kids collect the insurance and I hold the bag. Is that the way you want it, Mr. Rawson?
No. I had no idea Silver would do a thing like this.
How long do you think an old goat like you is going to hold a doll like this one once she gets her hands on heavy dolls? I think we can settle this, Mr. Rawson. Of course, there's been a couple of murders. Before we can get the cops off her next, they're going to want somebody to pay for them.
If it's money,
No can do. Not a murder rap. They'll want a victim. A patsy.
I don't understand.
Why not Nelson here? He actually did the killings.
Why,
All right. I warned you. Thank you, baby. You really have got everything, haven't you? Even your own gun.
Well, a girl needs protection sometimes.
Well, there's our patsy.
Get the money, Steve. Milton's got it on him.
You got it that quick?
Big newspaper men have ways of arranging these things.
$300,000 cash.
It's pretty, isn't it?
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah?
I've been thinking about something.
So have I.
You and me.
Silver.
What about your sugar daddy here?
Oh, he couldn't say anything. He wouldn't dare.
Oh, Silver, baby, how could you?
We've got the dough. Yeah, it could work.
No, I know it would, darling.
Okay. But you'd better give me that gun of yours.
All right, Steve.
Thanks.
So what are you doing?
Getting some law to clean this up. Give me the DA. He'll talk to me. Tell him it's Steve Gates. Following? Well, I've solved your case for you. You better come out here. 1124 Balana Canyon. No. Two of them. A little stiff named Milton and a dame named Silver Fox. I got drunk the night she went to the gas chamber, but I couldn't get drunk enough. I heard all the reports from the radio. And you know the funny thing? Right up to the last minute, she was still saying she'd been framed. Suspense. Charles McGraw starred in William N. Robeson's production of The Silver Frame by William Spear. Listen again next week when we return with Herbert Marshall in The Long Shot. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
The story with the surprise ending is one of the most difficult to write. Yet, the old switcheroo, as we call it in the trade, had fascinated readers for a long, long time before O. Henry virtually patented it. It's a difficult form because the switch must come logically out of the characters and their behavior, but it must come suddenly, unexpectedly, and at the very end of the story. You're about to hear a modern example, and we'll bet you all the red flags in communist China you can't guess the end until 25 minutes from now. Listen then as Mr. Herbert Marshall stars in The Long Shot, which begins in exactly 1 minute from now.
The Long Shot, starring Herbert Marshall. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Very well, then, Lieutenant. If you're ready to... Here's my statement. It seems a year, but I guess it's only 10 days since I was sitting in the lobby of the Astor Hotel in New York with 28 cents in my pocket. It had been a dreadful season at the track. So there I was, stony. Somebody had discarded the afternoon paper, and I picked it up, sold it to the classified section, and my eyes fell upon a most intriguing ad in the Help Wanted column. Englishmen will pay $150 and expenses to fellow countrymen, preferably Londoner, in return for services as driver and traveling companion on automobile trip to San Francisco. This was the answer to all my problems. And a quarter hour later, I presented myself at the door of my unwitting benefactor's quarters.
Yes?
I've come about your advertisement.
Oh, yes. Step inside, please.
Thank you.
You have a chair.
Thank you.
You're English, I presume?
Yes, indeed.
A Londoner, I hope?
Born and bred.
Well, I must say that's a relief. I've been plagued with applicants all day, not a Londoner in the lot. You see, the old town is sort of a fetish with me. A man can't really consider himself civilized unless he's a Londoner.
Quite.
You say you were born there?
Oh, yes, in Vigo Street, just off St. James's Square. August 18th, 1910. Know the town like the inside of my hat.
Vigo Street? I'm not sure I know it.
It turns right off Sackville Street and runs some little way before it reaches Regent Street.
Oh, yes. I place it now. Well, you seem to be the genuine article. Tell me, why are you interested in going to San Francisco?
You know anything about horse racing, Mr...
No, I'm sorry. My name is Hendricks. Walker Hendricks.
Mine's Kelly Raymond.
Well, how do you do, Mr. Raymond? No, I can't say that I do particularly. Been to Epsom Downs on a few occasions.
I see. Well, I've become rather fond of the horses. I might even say financially dependent on them. And with Bay Meadows opening shortly...
Bay Meadows?
That's a race course near San Francisco.
Oh, I see. Well, you have business that takes you to San Francisco and survive. And I just couldn't face making the trip alone, or even worse, with an American. That's why I advertised. And what a stroke of luck to find you. Not only a fellow countryman, but a fellow Londoner. Excuse me. Hello? Oh, yes. Well, I'm dreadfully sorry, but I just hired a man.
I was sitting pretty. The only thing I was afraid of was death from sheer boredom, because from the moment we started out, all Mr. Hendricks talked about was London.
Have you spent much time in Soho, Raymond?
I never lived there, if that's what you mean.
No. I mean the restaurants and so on. Do you know them?
You see now, there's the Moroccan... No, what was it? Oh, the Algerian Cafe in Dean Street, isn't it?
Quite right, the Algerian in Dean Street.
A big French woman ran it. We used to call her Madame Couscous.
Quite. As a matter of fact, I saw her there only a short time ago.
Huh? Seems to be she died a few years back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you probably met her daughter.
No doubt. There's a sign. Cleveland, 38 miles.
Spend the night there, I suppose.
Good idea. Now, let's see, where were we? Oh, yes, we were talking about Soho.
Yes, we were talking about Soho, and we continued to talk about it the rest of the way to Cleveland and most of the night in the hotel room. I began to think the man doubted my authenticity and was trying to trip me up. Next day we covered Whitechapel, Fleet Street, Bloomsbury, Mayfair. He still hadn't struck me, but I was beginning to feel like a well-found Baedeker's guide by the time we reached Chicago. As soon as we checked into our hotel room, I tried to get away from him for a while. Say, Mr. Hendricks, I wonder if I might have a small advance on my salary.
Well, I suppose so.
Still rather early, and I thought I might look over the Windy City.
Yes, of course, Raymond. Here, let me open my valise. Now, this infernal lock is always acting up. There we are. 20 have you enough?
Fine, thanks.
Hey, look here, I believe I'll join you. Stretch the legs a bit, eh?
There was a horse-choking wad of bills in that valise, but I was so burned at him tagging along, I didn't give it a thought then. My favorite joint was just around the corner from the hotel, a hangout for touts and bookies. But I didn't see anybody I knew at first. We had a club sandwich, and at Mr. Hendricks' request, I was expounding scholastically on the difference between Chicago and London bacon when...
Kelly!
Tommy!
Good to see you, Kelly.
I thought you were in Miami.
Leaving in a couple of days. How about coming along?
I can't. I'm on my way to San Francisco. Oh, this is Mr. Hendricks. Tommy DeWitt.
How are you?
How do you do?
Listen, Kelly, I got to talk to you. I got a big deal cooking.
I'm afraid
You don't mind excusing us for a minute, do you, Mr. Hendricks?
No, go on, please.
Look, Kelly, I'll get right to the point. We bought us some jockeys.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming up next week at Hialeah. 500 will get you 10 grand on the parlay.
But I've got to drive that stiff to San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. So what if you just walk down?
I suppose I could. But where do I get 500?
Has he got any money?
No, I don't. Wait a minute. That's valise.
Huh?
You're sure this can't lose?
I'm positive.
Right, listen. You go back to the booth and keep Hendricks busy for a few minutes. Tell him I have to make a phone call or something. I'll meet you at the IC station in half an hour. I stepped out from the kitchen, and in 2 minutes I was back in our room at the hotel. There was the valise just as he'd left it, and to make things even easier, the faulty catch wasn't locked. There were $680 in $20 bills in the wallet and a sheet of legal-looking documents in the portfolio next to it. I glanced at them idly as I pocketed the money. On top was a letter from a law firm in San Francisco. It was dated 2 months ago and addressed to Hendricks in Bedford Park, London. It said, "Since you are completely unknown personally to either relatives or legal counsel in the United States, It has been necessary to establish proof of your rights to your uncle's estate entirely by documentary evidence, and we are happy to state that such proof is now thoroughly established. We ask that you present yourself at your earliest convenience at our San Francisco law offices so that final disposition of the estate may be accomplished. Birth certificate, affidavits from friends, notarized statement from the Department of Records, a sheaf of letters. It was a long shot. A long shot that would pay off at least $100,000. Everything. Every affidavit and statement with a guarantee of Walker Hendricks, the bearer. And to tie it up tighter, one of the letters said pictures wouldn't be necessary, just a passport. And I knew a place in San Francisco that made passports to order. A long shot. But did you ever see odds like that?
In a moment, we continue with the second act of Suspense.
Memo on medals. Information about our military awards and decorations. The highly honored Legion of Merit is a 5-pointed white star of heraldic form bordered by purple-red enamel. In the center of this beautiful decoration is a constellation of 13 white stars on a blue field, breaking through a gold circle of clouds. Backing the star is a green enamel laurel wreath, interlaced with crossed war arrows in gold pointing outward. The ribbon is purple-red, edged with white. The Legion of Merit can be awarded to any personnel of the armed forces of the United States and of the government of the Philippines, and to personnel of the armed forces of friendly nations who have distinguished themselves by exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding services. When awarded to the military of other countries, the Legion of Merit is divided into 4 ranks: Chief Commander, Commander, Officer, and Legionnaire, depending upon the degree of the service we honor. Since its creation by Act of Congress in 1942, the Legion of Merit has become a highly honored symbol of our nation's acknowledgement of the bravery and dedication of free men.
And now, starring Herbert Marshall, Act 2 of The Long Shot.
Yes, it was a long shot. Anyway, I put the papers and the money back in the valise and called Tommy DeWitt. Told him the higher deal was off. There wasn't any money in the room. And the next morning, Hendricks and I left Chicago westbound on Route 30. And old London town rode with us.
You say you know the George Inn, Raymond?
Yes, but it's not in London proper. It's in Southwark on the other side of the river.
Oh, I believe you're right at that. Rare old inn, the George. In its pristine yard.
I did a lot of thinking during those long, dull miles across the plains. You know, my heart had looked like a cinch, but by the time we hit Cheyenne, I began to waver a little. And when we rolled into Salt Lake City, I was almost ready to give up the whole idea. It was too cut and dried. Too easy for a long shot. Almost like a trap someone set for me with $100 grand as the bait. And once I went for it, there'd be no turning back. It was a good gamble. But the stakes were too high, and there was no way of telling what the payoff would be without tossing everything on the line. That's what I was thinking at about 6 o'clock last Wednesday night when we pulled up in front of the Wasatch Hotel in Salt Lake.
By Jove, I'll be glad to wash up. That prairie country is appalling.
It's good to have some trees for a change.
Yeah, pretty town, Salt Lake. You have an aunt here, you know.
How long since you've seen her?
Well, I've never seen her. I don't intend to. She's a sister of my mother's, Marguerite Stoddard. Thoroughly Americanized, I understand, and probably a frightful bore.
Probably. That was just as if I'd asked for it. A way of telling about that payoff ahead of time. A laboratory test right there in Salt Lake City with nothing to lose if it didn't work out. I got away from Hendricks after dinner, found Marguerite Stollart's address in the phone book, and took a cab out to her house.
Yes?
Good evening. Are you Mrs. Marguerite Stoddard?
Yes.
I'm Walker Hendricks.
Walker? I just can't believe it. Come in. Please make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
Well, you're a pleasant surprise, Walker.
I suppose I am, Aunt. I may call you Aunt Marguerite, mayn't I?
Of course you may. Well, I expected you to be a little more like,
Like who?
Perhaps I'd better not mention it.
Oh, please do. I think we should discuss everything, don't you?
Of course I do. You'll never know how much your Uncle Gerald regretted what he did.
You mean the will?
No, long before that. Your mother never told you, I suppose?
No, she never mentioned her family.
I don't suppose she would. After all, she loved your father. And your Uncle Gerald hated him.
And so Uncle Gerald forced her to leave home?
Yes. I know Gerald would have been the last to admit it. But I've always felt the will was his stubborn way of making it up to her.
Perhaps.
I'm sure of it. But at least you will benefit, Walker. Now that there's nothing any of us can do for your...
If there was any doubt in my mind, it disappeared then and there. The American branch of the family knew absolutely nothing of Cecily Hendricks from the time she left home until her brother, Gerald, died, leaving her $100,000. At that point, they made a pretty thorough search, found both she and her husband had died in England, and their son, Walker, was the only heir. Everything I needed was back in the hotel in that valise. It's 521 miles from Salt Lake to Reno, but I convinced Hendricks we could make it in one jump. I had a special reason. We had to hit the desolate section of central Nevada about midnight. When you get right down to it, killing a man is a pretty tough job, even when it's as perfect as this was going to be. For once, I was thankful for London. It gave us something to talk about, and there was so much in my mind that I might have given myself away in silence. So I prattled on like a phonograph.
Oh, good old Wapping.
Yes, Wapping. There's a lovely pub there called the Prospect at Whitby.
Oh, don't believe I know it.
No, I'm not surprised. It's an amazing thing about London. It seems that the greenest tourist knows more about it than the Londoners themselves.
Well, I'd say you've done rather well.
Mainly because I've been on my own since I was 14. Now, you take yourself, for example. 10 to 1, you've never been in Petticoat Lane. It's a very marvelous place. Regular Oriental bazaar right in the heart of the city. Booths and peddlers selling every kind of junk you can imagine. At midnight, we were somewhere between Winnemucca and Reno, passing through some barren hills. I knew the time had come, and my hands began to shake so much I had to grab the wheel with both of them. I felt beneath the cushion where I'd put the wrench. It was still there. Finally, I held my breath, pulled over on the shoulder.
I say, what are you stopping for?
Look, over there, the moonlight on that cliff.
Oh, I say, yes, that is lovely.
Go over. Never knew what hit him. I turned up the lights and pulled the body out on the right-hand side. We hadn't passed the car for an hour, so I wasn't worried much about being seen. She was pretty heavy, but I managed to carry him over my shoulder. About a quarter of a mile from the road, I found a small cave at one side of the ravine. I shoved the body in and rolled a large rock over the opening. It started a small landslide which completely covered the hole. No one could possibly find it. I had just about gotten back to the road when I saw something that stopped me dead in my tracks. There, behind my car, was another one. There was a seal on the door. The seal of the state of Nevada.
In just a moment, we continue with the third act of Suspense. And now, starring Herbert Marshall, Act 3 of The Long Shot.
Nobody was in the patrol car. The officer must be wandering around looking for me. I lifted the hood of my car and knocked the battery cable off one of the terminals. Then I waited and waited while the coyotes jeered at me from the hills. At last he appeared from the other side of the highway.
Hi there. What's the trouble?
Oh, I don't know, officer. She just went dead on me. I was having a look up the road when you arrived.
Say she went dead on you?
Yeah. The lights went out. Motor just died.
Then under the hood?
Wouldn't do much good, I'm afraid. I'm pretty green at that sort of thing.
Let me have a look at it.
Would you please?
See, yeah, battery cable's jarred loose, mister. You got a wrench?
Yeah, here.
Thank you. Twist this. There you are. Yeah, try her now.
That looked pretty simple.
Yeah, it was.
Ah, there she goes. Thanks ever so much.
It's okay. Let's see, your name's Hendricks, huh?
Yes.
Check your registration slip. You're a long way from home.
Yes, I am. Yeah, that's right. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome, sir. Good night.
Well, there it is, Lieutenant. It was a long shot that was a sure thing until I found you waiting for me in the attorney's office. Even then, I'd have gotten away with it if you hadn't told me that the body had been found. Well, aren't you going to say something? Don't you still think I could have carried it off, Lieutenant?
Well, Raymond, we arrested you for the murder of Walker Hendricks. But it appears we were wrong.
Huh? What are you talking about?
It was a long shot, Raymond. And it was almost a sure thing. Maybe that's why both of you gambled on it.
What do you mean, both of us?
You and that guy you bumped off in Nevada.
That guy? Well, that was Hendricks.
Oh, Hendricks was murdered, all right. But you didn't do it.
What?
You see, he beat you to it, Raymond.
Who beat me?
Your traveling companion. He wasn't Hendricks. He was an out-of-work actor. He wasn't even an Englishman. That was why he was pumping you so much about London. He was, what do actors call it? Getting up in his part?
What are you talking about? I thought you found Hendricks' body in Nevada.
We haven't found a body in Nevada yet. But one thing's sure. Hendricks was never in Nevada. Poor guy never left New York. The New York police turned up the real Hendricks in the East River the day after you left town, chauffeuring for the guy who killed him.
Suspense, in which Herbert Marshall starred in William N. Robeson's production of The Long Shot by Harold Swanton. Supporting Mr. Marshall in The Long Shot were Florence Walcott, Ben Wright, Joe DeSantis, and Norm Alden. Listen. Listen again next week when we return with another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
We who manufacture thrills and chills for you sometimes weary of the guns and knives and blood and gore. We yearn to smile once in a while. We crave an occasional chuckle instead of the groans which fill our working days. But murder is serious business, and all too rarely do we find it a laughing matter. The story you are about to hear is one of these rare and happy occasions. It concerns two missing persons and the intertwined lives of two French chefs named Henry Stringbean and Frank Pigsfoot, and how their friendship flourished in the kitchens of a New York restaurant called the King's Eggplant. It marks also the welcome addition to Suspense's company of stars of the popular French actor Maurice Marsac. Listen then as Monsieur Marsac stars in One Chef, Well Done, which begins in exactly 1 minute.
And now, One Chef, Well Done, starring Maurice Marsac. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Many times it is asked of me, how is it that you, Henri Haricot-Vert, have risen to the exalted position of chef de cuisine at such a tender age? And I, Henri Haricot-Vert, shrug with modesty and reply, well, it is because I began my apprenticeship in Paris when I was but 11. It is also because your America is the land of opportunity. It is also because Monsieur François Pied de Cochon is no longer in the kitchen here at the restaurant Les Aubergines du Roi. You do not understand concerning François? Permit me then to begin at the commencement. It was in the spring of 1901 that I applied for a position to Monsieur Smith, proprietor of Les Aubergines du Roi.
Me, I'm a meat and potatoes man, Henry. Meat and potatoes fried in plenty of bacon grease. But I'm running this restaurant for what they call the 400. Folks with more money than brains, and they want French grub. So, I hire the best French chefs I can get, and then I leave them alone.
Entendu, Monsieur Smith.
Now, we'll start you on sauces. But if you can cook like your recommendations say, you can move right up to the top.
The great Escoffier himself once complimented my riz de veau au queue de crevettes.
Okay, if your sweetbreads satisfy Escoffier, they ought to satisfy Francois.
Monsieur Francois, he is the chef de cuisine?
Yeah. And you won't find a meaner one in all the 45 states. And until I can find somebody half as good and twice as pleasant, I got to keep him.
I am pleasant. I wish to be friends with everyone.
Okay, friend. Now, you prove to the customers and to Francois that you're a first-class saucier, and I'll hope by that time the cops will have saved me the trouble of firing him.
The cops?
The police, the gendarmes. You see, Henry, Francois drinks.
But surely it is no concern of the gendarmes if one takes a little wine de temps en temps.
Of course it ain't. But me and the cops got a strong hunch that Francois also murders.
Sacre bleu.
Yep. That's why we're looking for a new sauce chef.
Sacre bleu.
Don't you worry. The way I got it figured, he just scares most people. The only ones he murders are his best friends.
Idiot of a goat! I instructed you to poach that salmon, not to make a stew of it. Get out of this kitchen before I take my sharpest knife to your miserable...
That's him, Henry. Oh, Francois.
Don't come screaming at me during the dinner preparation, Monsieur Smith. You staff your kitchen with mutton-headed fools who cannot slice a shallot. Your stupid New York gendarme harassed me with questions about poor Lucien's death. And today my head throbbed as though it were a veal cutlet becoming a scallopini.
Now, Francois, don't get excited. I just want you to meet the new sauce chef. Monsieur Francois Petit-Cochon, Monsieur Henry Haricot-Vert.
Bonjour, monsieur.
What is bon about it? Can you cook?
Henry's got recommendations from Escoffier.
Who asked you, espèce de chameau? Now then, Haricot-Vert, get into your working clothes and prepare a bolognaise, a bordelaise, and a rouennaise. And if by some happy accident all three do not taste like raw flour paste, you and I shall be the best of friends.
In a moment, we continue with the second act of Suspense.
Another visit with Joe and Daphne Forsythe.
Hey, honey, I'm home. Daphne.
Drop dead.
Uh-oh, what's the matter, honey?
Don't you speak to me, you Don Juan.
Don Juan? Daphne, I'm no Don Juan. No habla español.
Very funny. Ha, ha, ha.
Well, it was no prize winner, but...
Neither are you Lothario.
I've often wondered, what's a Lothario?
I don't know, but that's what the wives on TV always call their husbands. I guess it applies.
You want me to go out and come in again?
As far as I'm concerned, you can go for a long walk, preferably on a short pier.
Well. Oh, come on, Daphne. What's wrong?
Your good friend Harry called, and he spilled the beans.
Which beans?
He said, quote, "Tell Joe he was right about those blondes. They're great," unquote.
Blondes?
That's what he said. Well?
He didn't say blondes. He said bonds. Savings bonds.
What?
Sure. I buy them on the payroll savings plan.
And I told Harry he ought to do it, too. Savings bonds have a guaranteed interest that pays back $4 for every 3, which is a pretty good investment.
That's a pretty good story, too.
It's true, so help me. That's why Harry's so happy. Savings bonds are great.
Well, maybe you're right. You wouldn't really fool around with blondes, would you? You're too faithful and sweet and kind and...
Fast talking.
And now, starring Maurice Marsac, Act 2 of One Chef. Well done.
A pinch of mignonette peppers, so. A pinch of chervil. One of tarragon, so.
Hello. What are you doing?
Preparing a bordelaise. Kindly permit me to concentrate.
Oh, you must be the new fellow from Paris. My name's Shirley.
Bonjour, mademoiselle.
I scrubbed the vegetables.
Then go scrub them.
Why? Old Francois ain't around. I guess he's got such a hangover he had to lay down for a while. Gee, that stuff smells delicious when you whip it up like that.
I trust Monsieur Francois also will approve.
You better trust he won't. If he thinks you can cook, he'll pretend to like you. And if he pretends to like you, the same thing might happen to you as happened to Lucien.
Who is this Lucien?
He was the last sauce chef. Old Francois and him got to drinking together, and one time they went out on a terrible spree, and poor Lucien never came back.
Oh, quel dommage.
And they never found his body, neither. Francois must have sliced him into tiny bits and threw him off the Brooklyn Bridge.
Now, please, if you must weep, do not weep in my bordelaise. I have already sorted it correctly.
Francois!
Oh, the boss had instructions.
Where's Francois?
Francois is said to be temporarily indisposed, Monsieur Smith.
Shades of William McKinley, the August Belmont J.P. Morgan party has just arrived.
Well, I do not comprehend.
The richest people in New York, and Francois was supposed to cook up a fancy fillet of beef Goddard.
This matter sounds of importance. Filet de boeuf Godard.
What'll I do, Henry?
Remain calm. Tell Monsieur Auguste and J.P. Shades of McKinley all is well, and trust Henri.
I guess I'll have to. Great Garfield's ghost.
Filet de boeuf Godard. Oh, Maître Escoffier, watch over your humble disciple now.
Nothing like a few moments in Madison Square to relieve a murderous pain in the head. Hey, you. What are you doing?
Making the several sauces you requested, Monsieur Francois.
When did I... Who are you?
Henri Haricot Vert. Do you not remember?
Your face is vaguely familiar. What is this wine? An excellent sherry. Do not waste too much in the sauce. Well, what time is it?
10 minutes past the 9.
Ah, yes. A miserable American royalty is to dine at 6:30, and I must prepare a filet de... 9:10. Oh, my filet.
Oh, the filet was served, Monsieur Francois. Served à la Godard. I prepared the garnishment and the sauce.
You garnished my filet?
Henry, look out, it's nice.
Pig, cabbage, offspring of a turnip. Henry, you hit a home run first time at bat. Do not interrupt, Monsieur Smith. I have a lamb to butcher. Belmont and Morgan said it was the finest beef Goddard they ever ate. Huh? They're coming back tomorrow, and they left a $100 tip for the chef. Here you are, kiddo.
The gratuity must be given to Monsieur Francois.
Why? He wasn't even here.
But he returned at the moment you left the kitchen.
I did?
Certainement.
Okay, then, Francois. It's your $100. Good thing you came back. This kid might have got your job.
Mon ami, we French must stand side by side in this strange country.
What you have done is what Lucien would have done. What you have said is what Lucien himself would have said. Come, we shall toast the dear departed Lucien in his magnificent sherry.
Francois, what happened to Lucien?
I do not know. All I recall is that one night Lucien and I went on a magnificent soiree from which poor Lucien never returned.
You remember nothing else?
Only this. Somewhere in the dim, dark caverns of my memory, the two of us enter a large, dark room with a row of white beds, some sort of transient hotel. We fell asleep, and I think that when I woke, his bed and all the other beds were empty. And I think I left rapidly and silently through a side door. I think.
Francois, my friend, could you by any chance have murdered Lucien?
Oh, Dieu, no. At least I don't think I murdered him. But one day, you shall help me to find out.
Poor Francois. If he did not think he murdered Lucien, then I, Henri Haricovert, also refuse to believe it. In spite of our employer's views and those of the gendarmes. In spite of the views of Shirley, the vegetable bather.
You could be head chef here if you wanted to, Henry. Mr. Smith keeps saying so.
Francois and I constitute a two-headed head chef. It does not matter what title we are called by.
That's another thing. You're always hanging around with old Francois instead of paying a little attention to me once in a while.
And what could you contribute to a discussion of classic cookery?
Is cooking all you French guys think about?
When I think of other matters, do I not seek your company?
Yeah, and you always try to get me drunk. Just like Lucien used to.
I believe Lucien and I would have had a great deal in common.
That's what I keep telling you, Henry. If you don't quit being friends with Francois, you and Lucien will be dead in common. And when you are, don't come to me for sympathy.
One who is too stupid to cook cannot understand one whose whole life is cookery. But Francois and I, we understand each other parfaitement. And often, when the diners had departed and the kitchen help had gone, we would remain at the restaurant and create magnificent dishes.
And now, mon ami, the question is, how shall we prepare this large corn-fed ham?
First, I have a question for you, Francois.
Ah.
I have found in the spirit pantry a case of these strange bottles. The label is printed in American, and while I now speak the language like a native, I do not yet read it so nifty.
Let me see. Old Usquebaugh bourbon whiskey, 100 proof, bottled in bond. Ah, yes, Henri. This is an American cooking wine made from the fermented juice of the corn. Taste it, mon ami.
Voila. Your turn, Francois. Mon ami, I have an inspiration. We shall create a sauce for the corn-fed ham from this corn-flavored wine. So, why do you weep?
No.
If it is bad, we shall simply feed it to Monsieur Smith.
No, mon ami. I weep because, tout à coup, I too have the inspiration. Now we shall at last discover the fate of poor Lucien.
You believe that he died from eating ham?
No. On the very evening Lucien and I embarked upon our last soiree, he too thought to create a corn wine sauce for a ham. And when we had tasted enough of this Usquebaugh to determine its properties led us on a grand exploration from which he did not return.
You believe that a bottle or two or three might lead us on a similar grand exploration?
Oui. Even now, incidents I could not recall begin to take shape in my memory. If only I can recall the very incident of Lucien's departure, perhaps even the idiot gendarme will leave me in peace. So, mon ami, we shall try to retrace every beautiful, fatal step, and you shall play the part of Lucien.
In just a moment, we continue with the third act of Suspense. And now, starring Maurice Marsac, Act 3 of One Chef. Well done.
And thus, after the third bottle of old Usquebaugh bourbon corn wine, the thought was not completed, for I dimly remember that at this point, Francois and I, we were somehow standing in the corner of 14th Street and the Broadway, and 7 horse cars already had gone by. Now, the 8th approach.
It cannot be any Oscar, Henri. The one on which Lucien and I embarked was driven by an old chestnut mare named Mabel.
Well, we must await the same car.
This car to the Lancy Street, Mark Street, and Fulton Fish Market.
Pardon, monsieur. Who is the noble horse who pulls your conveyance?
Her? That's old Mabel.
Voila! Off with you, my hound of
Hey, what's the idea?
Hello, Mabel. Allons-y, your boy.
Come back, you horse, Stephen Strong.
You gents sure you can handle a load like you're taking on?
Il semble encore, s'il vous plaît.
Hey, wasn't you in here a few weeks ago?
Well, Henri, Mabel has brought us to the right place.
Sure, only it was with another guy. Lukey or something like that you called him.
The excellence of your memory is exceeded only by the charm of your establishment. Now, Henri, we must seek the hotel from which Lucien never returned.
Don't tell me your boys is leaving already?
No offense, monsieur.
Oh, offense, my hairpiece. I want to do you a favor. I'm kind of worried about you getting home. So why don't you just write your names and addresses on these cardboard tags and tie them to your wrists? Then if you pass out somewhere, the cops will deliver you.
Merci. You are a true friend.
Don't mention it. And what's yours, Cheff?
Henri, do not inscribe your correct name.
No.
Write as I am writing. Name unknown. Address unknown.
As you wish. But why?
Our true friend is a spy of the gendarme, but we have now outwitted him.
You are sure this is the street?
I think I am sure. What's the matter?
It's nothing. I have simply run into a building.
Then it is the hotel we seek. Lucien discovered it in the same way.
But where is the entrance? And the desk for registration?
My fine pigeon. We shall save the centime they would charge. I can go to the side entrance, which, as you shall see, opens directly into a large room of many beds. There, I am sure, we will discover what happened to poor Lucien.
I remember, and yet I do not remember. We seem to be in a cavernous place of gloom, with sleeping figures upon narrow white beds. It seemed that we found 2 beds, empty, and side by side. When I lay down, the bed seemed cool and hard. But I am tired, and soon I fall into the deep slumber. Then I awaken, and I am unsure that I am truly awake. Cold, gray light, the feeling that I am alone in the room. No, there on the next bed, Francois slumbers, so I am awake. No, 2 men come and lift the sleeping Francois to a cart with wheels. This cannot be, so I am still asleep. Their voices are a part of my dream.
This one hasn't been claimed either? Nope. Name unknown, address unknown. That's life. Here today, gone tomorrow.
So I dream that they wheel Francois off from the cart to a far end of the room. I dream that in the wall a small door opens. And as it opens, I dream that a cheery fire blazes beyond. Then the door shuts. And I dream a strange sight. And I dream that I'm running, and when I awaken, I am outside a hotel. I walk around to the front of the building. Over the doorway are painted in American words the name of the establishment. Pardon, monsieur.
Yeah?
Your language I speak with perfection, but I do not read it so neatly. What mean those words, s'il vous plaît?
No, they don't mean s'il vous plaît. Just says New York Morgue. Entrance to crematory.
Oh, merci bien. And thus, because Francois is no longer here in the kitchens of the restaurant Aubergine du Roi, I have been persuaded to accept the title of Chef de Cuisine.
Suspense, in which Maurice Marsac starred in William N. Robeson's production of One Cheff, Well Done by Francis von Hardesfeld. Supporting Mr. Marsock in One Cheff, Well Done were Sandra Gould, Joe DeSantis, Ben Wright, and Jack Moyholt. Listen. Listen again next week when we return with another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Am I my brother's keeper has often been the agonized cry of mankind when the troubles of his fellows have been heaped upon his shoulders. Our story tells of a man who was not his brother's keeper, but who was designed to be his brother's corpse, and it requires one actor to play identical twins. Now, dual identity roles are difficult enough in the visual medium, but they can be solved by technical tricks. In radio, they depend completely on the vocal skill of the actor. That is why we have asked one of radio's finest actors, Mr. Carl Swenson, to complete this assignment. Listen then, as Mr. Swenson stars in The $5 Tip, which begins in exactly 1 minute.
Another visit with Joe and Daphne Forsythe.
Joe?
Yeah, Daphne?
You think I should go on a diet?
No.
But I'm adding weight.
Only in the right places.
Flatterer. Seriously, if I put on any more pounds, I'll be out of style.
What style?
The current one. It calls for that slim, chic look.
The beanpole look, you mean? Well, I don't get it. Here we are, citizens of the healthiest country on earth, with hundreds of different kinds of good food. And what are Americans doing? They're starving themselves.
Well, it's fashionable. I don't want you to lose interest in my figure.
Don't worry, I won't. Say, speaking of that, look at this. Here's a figure with real interest.
Oh?
$45 billion. It says here in the paper that the investment in United States savings bonds has reached more than $45 billion. What do you think of that figure?
That's a lot of money.
And just think, every $3 invested in bonds pays back $4. That's real interest for you.
I know. And every savings bond is guaranteed by the government.
Right.
Oh, Joe, I wish you cared about my figure the way you do about those bonds you buy every payday.
Honey, I've got great interest in both.
Well, you just see that you stay that way.
And now, $5 Tip, starring Carl Swenson. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
I had flown all the way from Cleveland to be with my brother on his last night, and there was no joyride. His picture was on page 1 of the Tribune under a big black headline, Governor Denies Appeal, Jardine to Die Tonight. On the plane, they all looked at me like I'd broken out of death row. I couldn't blame them. Tommy Jardine was not only my brother, he was my identical twin. At midnight, he'd be gone. This black shadow, this evil image of me that had forced me to run away and change my name so I could make an honest living. Jackie Cavanaugh, his girl, had begged me to come on, and after all, I felt I owed him this last night, just for the relief I would know afterward. I found the Blue Hour, a quiet little bistro where she'd asked me to meet her. Stopped at the check stand, leave my hat and suitcase.
One hat, one bag, yes, sir.
Do something for me, will you? Don't let me leave without them. I do that all the time.
Yes, sir. I'll remember. Hey, you look like...
Yeah, I know who I look like. I'm supposed to meet a Miss Cavanaugh here.
Yes, sir. In the corner booth, red coat.
Thank you. I fumbled in my pocket for something to help his memory. Found the bill and laid it on the counter, thinking it was a single. I didn't know until later it wasn't. It was a 5. All things considered, it was the best $5 I ever spent. Jackie Cavanaugh was staring into her scotch, looking very lonely. And she had reason to. She'd been in love with Tommy for as long as I could remember.
Sit down, Mark.
Thanks. What time will we do over there?
8:30. No visitors until 8:30. The warden's a bearcat for rules. You're looking more like Tommy every day, Mark.
There's nothing I can do about that.
Try to be kind to him on his last night, will you?
Yeah. I'll try. I had a double scotch, and then another one. And we sat there for a half hour with Tommy's picture staring at us out of page 1. Then we slipped out a side door and caught a cab for the prison. The warden was a thin-faced, white-haired man with a tired, worried look in his eyes.
I'd like you both to know you're legally entitled to visit Tommy Jardine tonight. But I must also make clear I don't approve of it.
Why not?
He's facing the greatest trial a man can be put to. He can do it best alone. He's called for his parish priest. 2 of them are down there now. And if you insist on seeing him, you'll have to decide now. In 5 minutes, the main gates will be locked until after the execution.
Mark, I think I'll stay here.
Well, I thought...
So did I. But I just can't bear to go through with it.
I understand. All right, Warden, I'll see him alone.
You're the twin brother, huh? How come your name's different?
I changed it.
I don't blame you. It's funny, up to now, we didn't believe he had a twin brother. Thought it was all part of the act.
What act?
Well, it's against the law to execute an insane man.
You mean Tommy is...
Crazy as a coot. Or at least that's what he'd like us to think. It's turned into an endurance contest. 3 days and nights without a let-up. And you know what it'll add up to, don't you? He'll go to the chair, sound and sane, and we'll go to the nut house.
The
preacher's in there with him.
All right,
go ahead. Excuse me, Father.
Yes?
You got company, Jardine.
Hello, Tommy.
Huh? What do you know? So you had the nerve to come after all. Padre, shake hands with my brother.
I'll be back in 15 minutes, Mr. Heston.
Hey, listen to me, you idiot. My name is Heston. Mark Heston.
Shut up, Jardine.
Look, do I have to die to prove it? Padre, how can I convince him? What can I do? Look at him, Mark.
You see what I mean, Mr. Heston? They're going on like this day and night. He's driving us nuts.
He'll be all right. Funny. Seems to come over every so often. Perfectly rational 1 minute, and then...
Yeah. Well, Padre, see you in 15 minutes.
Tommy.
Huh? What happened? Did I do it again?
Yes, son. You said you were Mark, just like before.
Oh. Mark? I'm sorry, Mark. I don't know why.
We understand, don't we, Mr. Heston?
Sure. Is there anything I can do for you, Tommy? Afterwards?
Well, he does have some personal affairs to clean up.
Yeah, I'll be leaving some cash for one thing. In a safe deposit box in Detroit. And there's a car and some personal stuff. That'll all go to Jackie.
I took a pencil out of my pocket and looked around for something to write on. Sticking out from under the Bible on the table was a blank card, so I picked it up and turned it over idly as I waited for Tommy to go on. There was printing on the back. It said, Fingerprint Record, State Penitentiary. And it had Tommy's picture and history, but the spaces for the fingerprints were blank. Then they jumped me.
I got him, Tommy.
The arms, Mike. Get his arms.
Got him.
Get the needle inside the book. Pages cut out.
Okay. Hold him still now.
Come on, Jardine. Wake up. All right, snap out of it, Park. All right, get the leg out from under you. That's a boy. All right, now.
Hey, wait. What is this? What are you doing? What is this?
Look, Jardine, will you save the act for the newspaper boys, huh?
Look, I'm not Jardine. I'm Heston. I'm Mark Heston.
And I'm Marilyn Monroe.
Hey, wait. Listen.
Oh, you listen, Jardine. I'm fed up with this act. You either play ball or job or no job, I kick your teeth in.
Let go of me. What are you doing?
I'm slitting your trouser leg because that's where we fasten the electrode. That's 10 after 11. In less than an hour, you go to the chair.
In a moment, we continue with the second act of Suspense.
Memo on medals. Interesting information about our military awards and decorations. Campaign medals were authorized by Congress in 1905 for all officers and men engaged in specified wars and military action, including such widely divergent battles as the Civil War in the United States and the Boxer Rebellion in China. The Navy and Marine Corps have a special Manila Bay Medal for members of the United States Asiatic Squadron under command of Commodore George Dewey in May of 1898. The Haitian Campaign of 1915 is commemorated with a medal, as is the Santo Domingo Expedition, which suppressed a revolt in that country and preserved order during elections in 1916. The Army has its Mexican Service Medal for those involved in any of several expeditions or engagements from April 12, 1911 through June 16, 1919. There is also the Army of Cuban Pacification Medal for United States troops who, from October of 1906 to April of 1909, helped establish a stable government in that island nation. The Victory Medal was initially awarded to all United States service personnel in World War I expeditionary forces, including, for the first time, women serving in the military units. There is a story behind every American medal, a proud story of devotion to country and unselfish service to keep it strong and free.
And now, starring Carl Swenson, Act 2 of $5 Tip.
Slowly, one by one, the facts came into focus. I was in cell 4 of death row, in Tommy's prison uniform. The guard was shaving my leg because in less than an hour, I was going to the chair in my twin brother's place.
Hold still now, Jardine.
I'm not Jardine, I tell you. I'm Mark Heston. Now get that through your thick skull, and then bring the warden here.
You'll see the warden in 45 minutes. The law says he's got to be there when they pull the switch.
Look, do you see this on my arm here?
What about it?
That is a mark from a hypodermic needle. That was why I was asleep just now. The Padre, do you remember him?
Yeah.
He's a phony. His name is Mike, and he's a friend of Tommy's. And he had the needle inside the Bible that he was carrying.
Is it so?
And they hit me right after you left. Now, I know it sounds crazy, but they pulled it off.
Oh, they should have known better than to try a wild thing like that now, shouldn't they?
You don't believe me. This mark on my arm. Now, look. You gotta believe that.
Oh, I believe it. You showed it to me yesterday.
I wasn't here yesterday. Listen to me. That was part of the build-up. Can't you see that? Like the Insanity Act and everything else. Listen to me, you stupid jerk.
The rule book says we don't rough up the customers, Jardine. However, in your case, I'm going to make an exception.
Please believe me. My name is Heston, Mark Heston. I got an apartment on Riverdale Avenue in Cleveland. I work for the Ohio Indemnity Company. I
said I had enough talk. We went through that yesterday, too.
Now, wait. One more thing. You picked me up at the warden's office tonight. Do you remember? Tommy wouldn't know what we talked about. About my name first You asked me why it was Heston, why it was different. Then about Tommy's act.
Oh, sure. You pumped your brother about that stuff while he was here. He told me when he left with the Padre.
All right, then.
Put down that chair.
Get the warden.
Give me that chair.
Get the warden.
Okay, Jardine. I'll get the warden.
I can't stand it.
But, Warden, I gotta get her out of here. She's going to pieces. Can't you see that?
I made that clear to you, Mr. Heston. The main gate's locked until after the execution.
Regulations. Can't you protect...
Let me go. I can't stay here while they kill him. Let me out of here.
Please, Warden.
All right, I'll call the gate. Come in.
Warden, can I talk to you for a minute?
What is it, Louis?
Can't handle Jardine.
All right. Excuse me a minute, please.
Tommy, shut up. Got a feeling we're not going to make it.
You're doing great. We'll be out of here in 5 minutes.
What are they talking about? What's he telling the warden? Can I go now, Warden?
I'm afraid you two will have to stay here in the office for a few minutes. I may need you.
Well, let's see now. I got off the plane at the airport and took a cab to a bar called the Blue Hour. She said she'd be waiting there for me.
Jardine, listen to me.
Don't call me Jardine. I'm Mark Heston.
There's only a half hour to go, Tommy. This won't do you any good.
Warden, please, listen to me. He has been planning this for weeks. The girl, too, and that phony Padre. They had it all worked out right down to the pinprick in his arm. Now, please, just let me talk to them. Give me 2 minutes with them. That's not much to ask, is it?
The girl couldn't take it.
That's an act. Can't you see that? It's an act.
Louis.
Yeah, what?
Mr. Heston and Miss Kavanaugh are waiting in my office. Bring them down here.
Yes.
Well, what about Mike?
Mike?
That phony Padre.
He left. He said he couldn't do anything more for you. Said it was up to the prison chaplain now.
Chaplain, Warden, can't you...
Tommy, listen to me.
Tommy, I'm not Tommy. I'm Mark Heston.
In just a moment, we continue with the third act of Suspense.
We have together ample capacity and freedom to defend freedom. This is NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. The 15 nations comprising the North Atlantic Treaty Organization have reaffirmed their faith in the aims of the United Nations. They have reaffirmed a desire to live in peace with all people, all governments. NATO is a framework within which the member nations can cooperate in every way to achieve peace and freedom for the world in our time. The United States of America is a part of NATO. You should be aware of and alert to the objectives and programs of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization.
And now, starring Carl Swenson, Act 3 of $5 Tip.
I'm sorry, Tommy. I'm sorry.
Jackie, I want you to realize what you'll be doing if you keep on lying. You'll be killing. You'll be killing an innocent man, just like shooting him with a gun. It's murder.
Oh, please, no.
And they're going to find out, sooner or later. Listen to me. I just told the warden how we met at the Blue Hour. You were wearing that red coat so I could find you, waiting for me in the corner booth.
Blue Hour?
Yes, you remember that, don't you, Jackie?
The Blue Hour.
A bar on North Lake Street.
Well...
Answer me!
It won't work, Tommy.
That won't work.
Warden, call them. Call the Blue Hour. They'll tell you that I was there.
It's my job to give you every reasonable consideration, Tommy. But there are limits.
Limits? This is the limit. This is ridiculous. What about the fingerprints? You have his fingerprints here on file, right here in the prison. Why don't you... I remember then. The blank fingerprint card sticking out from under the Bible. There was a faint smudge of ink on my fingertips. They had thought of everything.
I thought it might come to this, Tommy. We stopped at the files on the way down and picked up your card. Give me your hand.
Warden, I forgot to tell you something.
Give me the ink pad, Louis.
Yes, sir.
No, Warden,
I hope this will settle it once and for
won't
all.
settle anything. I looked at Tommy while they took my prints. The corner of his mouth was twitching again. But he didn't dare look me in the eyes.
Well, there you are, Jardine. They match perfectly.
Well, of course they match. They're my prints on the card. My brother and that phony priest took them while I was unconscious and switched cards in the files.
Come on, Louis.
Yes, sir.
Tommy, it's 20 minutes to 12. Prison chaplain will be here in 5 minutes if you want him.
No, wait! Look, don't you walk out on me. I am Mark Heston, I tell you. There was a switch. Look! Look at him! Can't you see it? You've got the wrong man! The wrong man! There was my last faint hope. And all that was left was the horrible, unbelievable truth. They were going to do it. They were actually going to execute me. The lights dimmed, then brightened, and then dimmed again. And from down the corridor behind the door came a faint whine. With 15 minutes to go, they were testing the chair. 15 minutes. The prison chaplain came in. I had nothing more to say, nothing anyone would believe, so I told him to go away. Then Louis came back with a couple of assistants, and they shaved my head. 8 minutes. 7. 6. A kind of paralysis took me. I could hardly stand up. I could hardly breathe. 3 minutes. The chaplain came back again, and more guards. Finally, the door to the block opened, and the warden walked toward my cell. The hands on the clock over the door were almost straight up. The time had come. The warden moved slowly through the crowd of witnesses, white-faced and shaken. He took my arm.
Come on, Mark.
Okay. There's nothing left to... Wait. You called me Mark.
Sit down, Mark.
Where are my brother and the girl?
They're holding them downstairs.
There he is, Warden. Name is Willie.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, Mr. Heston, I know it sounds kind of stupid to say I'm sorry, but...
No, forget it, Louis.
Thanks.
You probably don't remember me, mister, but... Sure, you're the hat check kid at the Blue Hour.
I was reaching for the phone to call the gate so your brother and the girl could leave when it rang. They were calling about Willie here. He was at the gate trying to get in.
Well, Willie, how did you...
I waited till the taxi you took came back, and I asked the driver where you went.
Yeah, but why?
Well, you left your hat and bag.
Well, why did you bring them here?
Well, I didn't know what was in the bag, but I knew it must be awful important. You told me not to let you leave without them. Well, I might have let it go, but after all, mister, you left me a $5 tip.
Suspense, in which Carl Swenson starred in William N. Robeson's production of $5 Tip by Harold Swanton. Supporting Mr. Swenson in $5 Tip were Kathy Lewis, Henry Blair, Jack Crucian, Jerome Thor, and Ken Christie. Listen again next week when we return with another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Suspense has been brought to you through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
There's no business like show business. So it's no wonder show business is full of superstitions. Never whistle in the dressing room. Never give the curtain line of a play until dress rehearsal. Don't send your laundry out if Monday night business is bad. And, of course, the sentimental daddy of them all, the show must go on. History has yet to record a trooper trepidatious enough to ask why. But our story concerns itself with a show that did not go on, and the theatrical superstition which states, never follow a banjo act with a banjo act. Listen then, as one of the greatest show people of them all, Miss Margaret Whiting stars in Never Follow a Banjo Act, which begins in exactly 1 minute.
Number one medal. And now, Never Follow a Banjo Act, starring Miss Margaret Whiting. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Rosie Jones, take another bow, Rosie. Yes, sir. There you are, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, the immortal Rosie Jones, pride of 52nd Street, out in the Club Nightshade.
Sing melancholy, baby.
And folks, now Club Nightshade invites you to dance to the rhythm of Chief Cole and his Mambo Rascal.
La da 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 dee. Sing melancholy, baby, the jerk. Yeah, who is it?
Rosie, you decent?
Enough.
Rosie, this here is Mr. Cramp. Hello, Rosie.
Yeah? And I'm Patrice Munsell.
Oh, no kidding, Rosie. This is Mr. Cramp. The Mr. Cramp.
Sorry, Mr. Cram, but every crumb that comes back here hoping to score claims that he's a big agent like you.
Yeah, I understand, Rosie.
Have a chair. Throw that junk on the floor. It's only last year's mink.
Thank you. You know, I've been an admirer of yours for many years, Rosie. Many, many years.
Benny, if this is a rib, so help me, I'll kill you.
Listen to Mr. Cram, doll.
Now, as you know, I'm representing Terry Dane. Now, you know who he is. You know what I got, right? Right?
Right. The hottest thing since Frankie tied his first bow tie.
That's it. We had new ones and new ones. They come, they go. But this Terry Dane, he's $1 million a year gross with tousled hair. He's a face you like to put in your lap and hug and kiss. And a voice, the answer to a maiden's prayer, no?
Personally, I go for men.
She goes for men. He's a great little kidder, I bet he.
Yeah.
Well, what's the pitch?
All right. You ask what's the pitch, Rosie, I'm going to tell you. We're opening Terry at the new Casa Cactus in Vegas 2 weeks from Saturday. He's getting 25 G's a week.
I read it in Variety. Big deal.
Now, we need somebody to work with him, Rosie. Somebody who's got the experience, the talent, and a voice you could lay bricks on. Somebody who can really go along with him.
It is a rib.
May my mother be struck dead. I should say one word that isn't the truth, sincere, and from the heart.
Go on.
All right. Benny is paying you $275, Rosie, right? I want to buy your contract from him. I'll give you an even grand, expenses, plus transportation. You like?
To work with Terry Dane.
4 weeks, guaranteed. Maybe even a bonus, who knows?
Benny.
I seen the contract, Rosie.
And,
I give you 10 seconds. Give me a firm answer. Say yes, we'll finalize it here and now.
You don't mind if I seem a bit in the dark.
9 seconds, Rosie.
What happened to that big My Darling Died campaign your office was spreading when you had your boy singing I'll Never Smile Again over the cute little girl singer who was killed in that accident?
What, Constance Green? The boy got over it.
So why don't you get him another young thing like she was?
Never follow a banjo act with a banjo act, Rosie. You know, old show business motto.
Gee, she was cute. An accident. What was it? He fell through a shower door or something, bled to death?
You got 5 seconds.
4, 3, 2, and I'll take it.
That's my girl, Rosie. All right, now, while you're signing these, you want to leave us alone for a minute, Benny?
Sure thing, Mr. Clint.
Here's the pen. Yeah, that's it.
Standard form. No riders?
No riders, Rosie. There's one thing I would like to make clear right from the outset so there's no misunderstandings later.
Why, Mr. Clint.
No. I'm serious, dear. About Terry. Keep away from him.
Okay.
I mean away, dear. He's a moody kid. He's terribly shy.
Remember what I said before about liking men?
Yeah. That's what I call being mature. And he's just a boy. You got no interest, you'll develop none, right? You'll keep clear, clean, and away, right?
Right. Oh, I'll make it look good on stage, Ray, but after hours, I'm going hunting for a man. Terry Dane. Me and Terry Dane.
I like this, Rosie.
It was a good arrangement, Terry. Go on. There's the intro for your solo.
Who cares about solos? I like duets. I like doing it with you, honey.
They like you. They love you. Every last dame in the place. Come on, get out there.
Yeah, they love me. It's true. Every last one of them out there. It's just a thing that happens to women when I sing. Only somehow it just doesn't seem to happen to you, Rosie. Now, why is that, I wonder?
In a moment, we continue with the second act of Suspense. And now, starring Miss Margaret Whiting, Act 2 of Never Follow a Banjo Act.
All right, folks, place your bets. Get your bets down.
Here you are. $2 on number 23.
Miss Jones, ma'am?
Why, hello, Texas.
Well, my name ain't Texas, ma'am. It's Earl. Earl White.
Earl. That's such a short name for such a long man.
Well, I just wanted to tell you how much I liked your singing, Miss Jones.
Really? You're not just saying that.
Oh, no, ma'am.
Well, Earl, you're one in a million.
Yes, sir. And,
speak your piece, Earl.
Well, I'd sincerely like to buy you a drink, Miss Jones.
Well, let's saddle up, Pard, and get with it. Oh, what a beautiful morning.
Yes, sir. Sunrise. Best time of the day, Rosie.
Look at all those mountains, all purply and gold.
A man could look at them mountains for quite a spell without getting the least mite tired.
Well, Earl, here's my bungalow, so I guess I'll be saying good night. Or is it good morning?
Don't rightly know which you'd say, ma'am. Let's just make it so long till later.
You still want to go riding this afternoon?
Yes, ma'am.
So long, partner.
So long, Rosa.
Who's there? Who's that in the bedroom? Hey, Dream Boy. What are you doing here at... Terry? Oh, come on now, Terry. It's time to go home to your Betty bye. Gotta look good tonight, Pally. Yes, indeedy. So come on. Hey, you're going to cut yourself playing with that knife. Now put it away. Terry.
You're like Connie.
Connie?
You're like Connie in that other one. When I was little.
Connie? Oh, you mean Constance Green, the girl that used to sing with you. The one who died.
Connie was like you.
Now, we're not in the least alike.
Connie didn't like me.
Get that... Don't snap that so close to me. Now, don't.
Connie didn't like me, and you don't like me.
Everybody likes you, Terry.
You don't.
Yes, I do. I do.
Why?
Because when you sing... Well, when you sing, it does something to me. Way inside.
Does it?
Yes, and it makes a lump in my throat, and... Well, I just want to swoon.
You don't mean it?
Yes, I do. I do. I've never heard anything like you, Terry, and your hair. Oh, I love your hair. I just want to tousle it.
Do that.
Do what?
What you said.
Huh?
What you remember?
That knife. It's making me nervous.
You don't like me, or you do what you said.
Well, put the knife away, and I will.
All right.
Like this?
Yes. Do you like to do that?
Yes, I love to tousle your hair, Terry.
You do. Yes, you do. You do, don't you? I can tell you do.
Yes, Terry.
I'll bet you'd like to kiss my eyelids now, huh, Connie?
Oh, yes. Yes, tousle your hair and kiss your eyelids. Yes.
But I won't let you. I gotta get back to my bungalow now.
All right, honey, if you insist.
When I saw you lying there and all that blood, I knew you finally loved me, and it was right. It was right.
Yes, Terry. Yes.
Well, I'll see you tonight, darling. I know it's mean making you wait.
That's all right, Terry. I'll wait.
In just a moment, we continue with the third act of Suspense. And now, starring Miss Margaret Whiting, Act 3 of Never Follow a Banjo Act.
Oh, who's that?
Me, Ray. Let me in. I've got to see you.
What's the problem, Rosie?
It's your boy, your tousle-headed $1 million client.
What, Terry?
Yeah.
All right, what is the rascal up to this morning?
Murder.
Very funny. Come on, honey, I'll order up some coffee and we'll sit
Ray,
down.
that boy's a nut. He was in my bungalow just now with a knife this long, suggesting that I should, well, maybe flip every time he opens his mouth.
You gotta be kidding.
Kidding? He darn near cut my throat. All because he thinks I don't like him enough.
You don't like him?
Yeah, and you know what you said about the old show business motto, never follow a banjo act with a banjo act?
Yeah.
Well, listen, Ray Cram, you've done it. He's got me all mixed up in his mixed-up mind with that kid singer and something about lying in a pool of blood and... Well, to that boy, I'm another Banjo act.
All right, Rosie. What do you think we should do?
Call the police.
We can't very well do that, though, can we?
Well, why not? The kid's sick. He's insane. He could do anything.
Aren't you exaggerating just a little?
No.
Now think, dear. Don't you think it might have been just a little joke, huh?
Ray, nobody makes jokes like that.
Sure they do. Now, why don't we just forget about this, huh, Rosie?
Forget about it.
Yeah, forget about it.
You know.
I know what? That the kid is maybe a little bit loopy?
You know. You know about him and that little knife
All right,
of
now
his.
don't raise your voice.
And maybe you know how that other girl singer died.
She fell through a shower door.
I read about it. She was cut up pretty bad, wasn't she?
All right, now listen, Rosie, and listen to me good. Now, you've been around a long time, dear. You know what can happen sometimes to a Weisenheimer goes popping off when it's not called for.
But this is called for. That kid belongs in an asylum or someplace.
That kid represents $1 million gross.
Of which you get 10%.
Of which I get a whole lot less than that. He's divided up half a dozen ways, Rosie. Some of the holders are very influential parties. One of the parties in particular wouldn't like it if anything happened to make the money stop coming in. Now, this party's name is a secret, but you I'm going to tell it to. Because you've been around, Rosie. You can appreciate this.
Who's the party?
The syndicate.
So explain. They're human beings. Sort of. Tell them the truth. Tell them they bought in on something bad, just like you.
No. You don't understand. I sold them, Terry Dane. Me, Ray Cram.
You're in trouble.
Not unless you talk. If you do, you're in trouble, too.
How do you mean I'm in trouble, too?
The syndicate. I'd be forced to tell them who blew the whistle on their golden goose. And then, you know.
Oh.
So take the realistic view, huh, baby? We'll protect you. We'll keep Terry away from you. You've got nothing to worry about.
Nothing to worry about. That's nice to know. Now, look, Ray, couldn't I just slip out of town?
No. I saw the boys after the show. They liked you. You stay. That's the word from the boys.
I wish I were dead.
You do like I say, you won't be. And there's one more thing, dear.
Yes, dear.
Now, you're singing good on your solo. Don't sing too good on your duet. Huh? Don't take it away from the boy.
I won't, Ray. I'll make him look good.
Now you're talking like I like to hear you. That's my girl.
And now the moment you've all been waiting for. Ladies and gentlemen, Terry Dane.
Hello, folks. Hi, baby. Folks, isn't she great?
Isn't he great? Terry?
Yeah, doll?
What are you thinking about, Terry?
Oh, things.
What kind of things, Terry?
Moon, June, spoon, tune.
You got a tune?
Oh, I got a tune.
Good little tune?
Happy little tune.
I like a happy little tune. Is there a boy in it?
No, just a girl.
What kind of a girl?
A very quiet girl. And she was right and dead and red as red can be.
What are you going to sing, Terry?
She was red. It was all red.
Get hold of yourself.
Who are they whispering?
Sing.
Don't they like me?
Sing, Terry.
I'll make them like me. Make you like me, Connie.
And now that we've done our little crazy bit, folks, we'll...
I'll never smile again.
Don't.
I smile.
Oh, Connie, get a knife!
You can't cross me out. Connie,
darned if I can figure what makes a feller like that tick, Rosie.
I think I'll play the black tonight, partner.
He went just plumb loco. Took 6 men to get him into that there special airplane. I swan flying a man to the bug house.
Too many banjo acts. That's all, partner. Too many banjos.
Suspense, in which Miss Margaret Whiting starred in William N. Robeson's production of Never Follow a Banjo Act by James Poe. Supporting Miss Whiting in Never Follow a Banjo Act were Eddie Marr, Lawrence Dobkin, Cheff Mencken, and Jack Moyles. Listen. Listen again next week when we return with another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Suspense has been brought to you through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
The Chain, starring Agnes Moorehead. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
All I did was send a letter, that's all. You can't blame me for what happened. I didn't start it. Hundreds of people do it every day. I've always been a good wife. By the morning it started, I was fixing George's breakfast. Not just toast like some women, but bacon and eggs and hot biscuits.
Coffee ready?
Where have you been? Your bacon is burned to a crisp.
I said I only wanted fruit juice and coffee. I went down to the road to pick up the mail.
Why do you always run for the mail? Are you expecting something you don't want me to see, George?
If there was anything I didn't want you to see, I could have it sent to the office.
Oh, could you? I didn't know you were important enough to receive personal mail at the office.
Leonora, that's enough. Bert Reynolds was appointed district manager. I should have gotten the job, but I didn't. Now, let's forget about
it. Oh, maybe you can forget about it, but Abby Reynolds won't let me forget. She has a couple to do her work now. She can spend half her day in town, but not Leonora Carpenter. No, poor Leonora is stranded out here without a car, without anything. Here's your coffee. What was in the mail?
Just this letter for you.
For me? Who was it from?
I don't know, Leonora. I don't open your mail.
Well, you needn't be so sarcastic. Oh, dear. From my cousin Emily. One of those ridiculous chain letters. This letter was started by a holy man in Tibet to end all evil. You must make 2 copies and mail them to others within 24 hours or the chain will be broken. Whoever breaks the chain will meet with evil. A Navy pilot broke the chain and was killed in a crash 2 days later. It's a ridiculous thing. Now, who can I send it to?
Well, you can burn it and not send it to anybody.
Well, maybe you don't think so, but I think our luck is bad enough as it is. I could send one to Abby Reynolds, of course, but I'd have to sign my name to it.
She'd tear it up.
Yeah, she would. That would be just like Abby. What's the name of the couple they hired?
I don't know. Something or other. Peter Kurchevsky.
Peter Kurchevsky.
You're not thinking of sending a copy to him?
Why not, George? Why not?
Well, it's absurd. Why, you don't even know the man.
Well, I send one to him and he sends one to Abby.
He
probably won't send it to anybody.
Oh, but he will, George. He's a foreigner, isn't he? And they're all so superstitious. You'd have to send it to her. He may not even know anybody else.
Suit yourself. Need anything from town?
No.
Time for me. You're getting down to the office, then.
You never used to leave so early, George. You used to eat a big breakfast.
I'm just not hungry.
Well, maybe you'll be hungry by the time you get to town. And you'll have time for a second breakfast at the drugstore.
Maybe.
You might even meet Miss Holden. She probably has her breakfast there.
Leonora.
She's very pretty, George. Not at all like your former secretary.
Betty Holden is a very efficient girl. If she's pretty, I've never noticed
Well,
it.
notice it, George. Notice it while you're having your second breakfast.
I'll see you at dinner, Leonora.
George didn't fool me a bit. He never did. After I cleaned up the kitchen, I sat down with a letter. I made a copy and addressed it to Mr. Peter Kerchevsky, care of Mrs. Abby Reynolds. Then I made a second copy. Whoever breaks the chain will meet with evil. Then I sealed it in an envelope and addressed it to Miss Betty Holden.
Leonora?
Here I am, George, in the living room.
Leonora, why in the devil did you send that silly letter to my secretary?
Well, it said send 2 copies, and that's what I did.
Well, why Miss Holden?
Well, why not?
Because it was a stupid and a childish thing to do.
Is that what she said?
She's too much of a lady, but that's what she thought, and so did I.
You and Miss Holden seem to think very much alike. It's a pity you're not married to her.
Yes, Leonora, it is a pity.
So it's true, then. You two agree that I'm stupid and childish. Well, what other agreements do you have, George?
Leonora, if you don't stop, so help me, I'll...
Go ahead and hit me, George. Because of a secretary who means nothing to you. Go ahead. Go ahead and hit me.
No. That wouldn't do any good, Leonora. You're not worth it.
I knew they were talking about me. I could see it in their faces every time I went into town. They always blame the woman when something goes wrong. But they didn't know what George was like. I started going into town every day, whether I had to or not, to show them I had nothing to be ashamed of. Thursday was the day Abby Reynolds did her shopping at the Bon Ton, and I planned to meet her there, accidentally. Leonora! Oh, hello, Abby.
I tried to phone you this morning.
Oh? Well, I've been in town all day.
There's something I have to tell you. Bert and I know you meant no harm, but...
So George has been criticizing me to Bert.
Why, no, dear. I mean about the letter, the chain letter you sent to Peter Kerchevsky.
Well, what harm could that do, Abby?
None. That's what Bert tried to tell him, but he's a very strange man. And, well, you see, Leonora, his wife died yesterday.
Oh, no. No, Abby. But what is that?
He got the letter a few days ago. He can't read English, so he usually brings what little mail he gets to Bert. But his wife got sick that morning, and he took her to the hospital. He didn't bring the letter to Bert until this morning, and without thinking, of course...
Bert read it to him?
He tried to reason with the poor man, but Mr. Kerchevsky didn't seem to hear. He just kept staring, and then he turned and walked out of the house.
He blames me? He thinks it's my fault?
Why did you ever send it to him, Leonora? Why did you pick him?
Well, I meant no harm, Abby. I swear it. I meant no harm. The Country Hill bus wasn't due for half an hour, so I decided to walk home. I crossed the wooden bridge over the river and turned off the main road up the hill. Really wasn't far, and a few minutes later I was home. Well, almost home. As I turned in at my gate, a man stepped out of the bushes.
Hello, Mrs. Carpenter.
Who are you?
You don't know Peter Kerchevsky, eh?
You stay away from me. Stay away from me, if you hear?
You don't know man you sent letters to, You afraid, Mrs. Carpenter?
Oh.
Why you afraid? You killed my wife. You afraid I kill you?
I threw my handbag across his dirty face. And as he staggered back, I dropped the bag and ran. Ran across the lawn and up the steps to the front door. But my key was in my purse. Then I remembered the spare key under the doormat. I got it and unlocked the door. As he pounded up the porch steps, I slammed the door in his face and locked it.
Come out! Come out, Mrs. Carpenter!
You go away, you hear? You leave me alone.
You can't get away from me. Nobody around to help you. You don't get away. I wait for you.
I leaned against the door, trying to get my breath. I could feel Kaczewski on the other side of it like a big crazy ape. I raced through the house. The kitchen door was locked, and there was a store of windows on the lower floor. I ran upstairs to the bedroom. George's service revolver was in the bureau. I got it and opened the window.
Come down, Mrs. Carpenter!
You get off this from me! Look, I've got a gun and I know how to use it. Do you understand?
Give my word, Mrs. Carpenter!
I did not! I never even knew her!
Then she got
You go away! I want you all shoot!
Go ahead!
He started back away across the clearing. I fired again, and again, and again. And I couldn't hit him. He backed into the trees at the edge of the property.
You're going to pay for what you do, Mrs. Carpenter. I go back. I see you again. You're going to pay.
I gripped the gun and waited till I saw him going down the road toward town. And then I locked the bedroom door and slipped down the stairs to the telephone.
Number, please.
3417.
1 minute.
Castle Insurance Company, Mr. Reynolds speaking.
Bert, this is Leonora.
Yes, Leonora.
Let me speak to George, please.
I'm sorry. He's out for the afternoon making some calls.
Is Miss Holden there?
No, I think George gave her the afternoon off.
Oh, I see.
Anything I can do for you, Leonora?
No, Bert. Did you tell George about Kaczewski and the letter?
Yes, Leonora. I told him, and he told me why you sent it. Now, is there anything else I can do for you?
If George comes in...
I'll tell him to call you. Goodbye, Leonora.
Bert, I meant no... George knew. He knew when Betty Holden knew. She was with him in town, keeping him there. This is what they wanted. They wanted something to happen to me. Well, there was still the police.
I can't arrest him for attempted murder. There isn't even enough evidence for simple assault. After all, it was you who fired a gun at him.
Oh, haven't I the right to protect myself in my own house?
In the house, yes, ma'am, but you were behind locked doors firing at a man out in the open. If you'd killed him, you'd have been charged with murder. Now, if you're smart, you'll drop it.
You've got to find that man and arrest him. I demand it.
All right, ma'am. All I can charge him with is trespassing.
Oh.
We can hold him until his fine is paid, and that's all.
I don't care what you charge him with. Arrest him. Just arrest him. Arrest him. It began to get dark after the police left, and I sat there listening to every sound. Then it started to rain. I heard it against the roof and the windows, and it frightened me. If somebody came up to the house, I wouldn't be able to hear them. 7 o'clock came, then 8, 9, 10. I didn't dare turn on a light. I heard the hum of a motor and the strange sound it made skidding along Country Hill Road. George. It's just had to be George. The headlights flashed through the windows as the car turned into the drive, and a moment later, I heard his key in the lock.
Laura.
Surprised to see me, George?
Well, all the lights were out. I thought you were in bed.
Is that what you thought? Is that why you waited so long to come home? Where were you?
Where I go is no longer any concern of yours.
You were with her.
All right, Leonora, I was for the first peaceful evening in 10 years, but not the last.
What are you saying, George?
I'm going to divorce you, Leonora. I'm moving into the hotel in town.
I'll stop you, George. There isn't anything I won't do to stop you.
Oh, I know. I can depend on you for that.
What does it mean anything to you, George? You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what happened today.
I know you tried to kill a man with my gun.
How do you know that?
Everybody knows it. The police are looking for Kaczewski. You have no feeling about what you've done to that poor, confused man, have you?
I haven't done anything to him, the superstitious idiot. All I did was send a silly letter. That didn't kill his wife.
Well, I don't want to talk about it. All I want's my clothes.
You can't have them. I won't let you.
Well, then I can get others. Goodbye, Leonora.
I forbid you to leave this house.
Out of my
No,
way.
George, no, I'm your wife. Remember how things used to be with us.
Let go of me.
They can be that way again, George.
Get out of my way.
George, don't leave me. Don't leave me. I tried to sleep, but I couldn't. The rain got heavier. It pounded on the windows like somebody tapping on the glass. Each time the lightning flashed, I could see the wet ribbon of the main highway down below and the river beginning to wash over the bridge. A shutter tore loose and started a bang. Then... Hello?
Hello, Mrs. Carpenter?
Yes. Yes, who is it?
Lieutenant Marsh, Police Headquarters.
Have you found Krzyzewski?
Yes, the boys brought him in a half hour ago. I did all I could.
What do you mean?
Trespassing is a minor charge, Mrs. Carpenter. Bail was set at $25, and Mr. Reynolds just came in and bailed him out.
You mean he's free? You let him get away? Well, you've got to send somebody up here. You can't leave me alone if he's loose.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Carpenter. There's a storm emergency. Besides, the bridge is washed out. And I'm tying up a line talking to you. Good night.
Lieutenant! Lieutenant!
Operator.
Operator, get me Mr. George Carpenter at the Clearview Hotel.
Sorry, but the lines are open for emergency service.
I must speak to him. I just must.
I'm sorry. We only have 3 circuits left open for emergency calls.
But this is an emergency. I tell you, it's a matter of life and death.
One moment. I have a clear line now. Please make your call brief.
All right, all right.
Oh.
George, it's Leonora. You've got to help me, please. They arrested Krzyzewski, but Bert Reynolds bailed him out.
I know what Bert told me.
You know it? You let him do it. You want me to be killed.
He took Krzyzewski home and put him to bed.
He won't stay there. He's crazy. You've got to come out here, George. I need you.
The bridge is out.
Well, you'll find a way to get here. Oh, do you want me to go mad, George? I'll give you your divorce. I won't fight it. I promise you, George. Only don't let me die.
Leonora, you're hysterical. It's after midnight.
George? George! Oh, please! George! George! The line's dead. Dead like I was going to be dead. Krzyzewski would come. They didn't know it, but I did, so I sat there and waited. And then the rain stopped and the moon came out. I sat there listening to the ticking of the clock. It struck 1, then 2. And then I heard someone moving outside. I remembered what the officer had said. I couldn't shoot him until he broke into the house. He was struggling with the door. He was forcing something into a lock. And then it clicked. The door swung open. He was framed in the center of it, and I fired. Dead, but I could feel him behind me, chasing me. I ran down the river. It had almost burst its banks, but there was a boat coming across. I could hear the sound of the oarlocks as it came closer. I was crying with relief. The boat scraped under the shadow of the willows, and I ran down to it. Help! Help! Help!
Hello, Mrs. Carpenter.
He came closer. His hands reached out for my throat.
Hello, Mrs. Carpenter.
No, you're dead. You can't hurt me. You're dead.
My wife, she's dead.
You're hurting me. Let me go. Let go of me.
Don't move, Mrs. Carpenter. My hands are big, strong hands. I could break your neck easy. Just one twist.
My husband was the one. He told me to send the letter. I didn't want to. He made me.
You lie, lady. Your husband is good man.
You're joking me.
Don't you like to die, Mrs. Carpenter? You like to write letters. You like other people to die.
I didn't mean to shoot you up there tonight. I thought you were hurt. I was coming down to get a doctor for you. You just came across the river. You couldn't have gotten down here before me. George!
It was George up at the house. I killed George.
You kill your husband?
I thought it was you. I mean...
You want to kill me, but you kill him. You kill your husband, Mrs. Carpenter. You kill him. Now they make you pay.
I tell you, it was an accident. Let me go. Let me go.
Sure, I'll let you go now, Mrs. Carpenter. Go on, lady. Run. Run. Only where you got to run to.
Suspense on CBS Radio.
Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
There are several areas in which the human race splits into antithetical groups. Cats, for instance. A person either likes cats or he hates them. Or the moon. There are those who want to visit it, and there are others who prefer to use moonlight for the purpose God intended. And then there's hunting. Some men must prove their manhood by bagging bigger and bigger game. To others, wanton killing is sickness. Our story concerns two such men and a wounded lion. A story we believe will indeed keep you in suspense. Listen then as Everett Sloane stars in Game Hunt, which begins in exactly 1 minute.
And now, Game Hunt, starring Everett Sloane. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
The day had begun much the same as the other mornings on safari. We had left the base camp deep in the Kenya country before a cloudy dawn broke. Now we were advancing through the waist-high grass of the savannah. There were three of us. Howard Babson, a rich American from Chicago.
Elims and kudos and gazelles are all very well, but I came down here for lions.
And there was a mission-educated native tracker whose unpronounceable Maasai name had been simplified to Charlie.
You don't worry, Buona. This lion country. Good lion country.
And lastly, there was me, Jeffrey R. Cross. I'm a white hunter, professional. For a price, I will lead anyone to big game, see that he bags it, and send him home loaded with trophies and convinced that he's the world's most fearless marksman. But the business is not without danger. That's why we start a customer off killing harmless animals before we lead him to the man-eaters, hoping that he will gain confidence in himself and his gun before he's called upon to make the shot he must not miss.
Let's get on with it, R. Cross.
We're waiting for Charlie.
But why? Our eyes are as good as his. I'll know a lion when I see one.
Oh, yes, I'm sure you will, Mr. Babson. But the lions you'll see are not behind bars in the circus. It's one thing to recognize a lion. It's quite another to understand him. Charlie understands him.
What was it?
Charlie, behind you. You see, Mr. Babson? You didn't hear him. Neither did I. Neither does a lion.
Buona, big one. Not far. He feed on zebra in clearing. He carry great mane.
Well, let's go then.
Shell in your chamber?
You think I'm stupid, R. Cross?
Just wanted to be sure. That's why you're paying me.
All right. Let's go.
The wind is shifting some, Charlie.
It will work with us long enough, I think.
You think that because you're a lazy beggar and you want to stay on the game trail instead of fighting the bush?
No. Wind will help us long enough. There, Buona.
Let's go. There you are. There's your trophy. A black mane. Oh, she's big.
It's a beauty. Can he smell us?
Not with the nose full of zebra blood he's got. The wind, Charlie.
It stay same.
You won't be able to take him the way he is, low behind the zebra, Babson. But he's bound to move before long. So settle into a good position and relax. He's a monster. He'd look good on your wall, Benson.
Yes, I got just the place for him.
You know, the sun came up today for him just like every other day. But it's the last sun he'll see. Thanks to you and to Charlie and to me.
You developing a guilty conscience, Harcross?
I'm getting tired of killing, that's all. Killing is bad unless it's for food or to save your own life.
Juana, look. Wife is coming.
Ah, yes. She's prettier. Careful, Benson. He'll move now.
Oh?
Take your time. He's only chasing the old lady off. He'll be back and give you a good shot as he comes.
Oh?
No, Benson. Not now. Not now! Why did you fire? I hit him. You gut shot him. He can live for days or weeks.
You go into elephant grass.
Yes, always the meanest place to find him. Well, there's your trophy, Mr. Benson. He's wounded and holed up, and he's the most dangerous animal in the world right now. You want to go in after him?
No, I don't know enough about it.
Well, you thought you knew enough to fire when I told you not to.
We hunted over a week for a good head. That's all I was thinking of when I saw him running away. I wanted him.
Right now, he wants you, Mr. Benson. You stay here. Dolly and I will go in and try and get him.
Why don't you leave him? He'll die. I know I hit him well.
Not well enough. It's against the game laws to leave a wounded animal. And he'll charge any man he sees until he dies. Along with my services and my knowledge, Mr. Benson had bought my courage. And I was cheating my customer because I no longer had that much courage for sale. When Charlie and I entered the high grass, he was carrying not only my heavy rifle, but my canteen filled with brandy. I finally got so I hate him, Charlie. I've disliked them for a long time, but now I hate them.
Which one?
The trophy hunters, the lords and the movie stars and the millionaires, the complainers about the sun and the rain and the flies. I hate them.
For me, I hate tall elephant grass.
The elephant grass belongs here. It grows so that gut-shot lions will have a place to hide. This lion knew all along that one day a gut shooter had stopped making money in Chicago and come to visit Africa.
That way. He went into grass beyond High Anthill.
A nasty stand to cover. Grass over 8 feet high.
Yes, Juana.
You can't see 15 paces into it. It'll take our friend only the time of a breath to cover that distance. Well, let's look for signs.
Look, Juana. Blood. Dark, thick. Comes from deep inside.
No artery cut, though. He's a slow bleeder. A ruddy slow bleeder. Give me the canteen, Charlie.
We could wait, Juana. Our friend will stiffen.
Yes, only the wind isn't for us now, Charlie. Coming in from every quarter. You can get our scent from any direction.
The smell of rain now, too.
I don't catch it. Are you sure?
It comes soon, I think.
If you smell up a rain, the blood sport will be washed away. You smell too much. You've smelled the fear that's in me, haven't you?
For first time.
You're an insolent beggar.
You asked me, Juana. Look ahead where he lay down. See? His head was here, looking this way.
Yes. Down the back trail, waiting for us.
See? Claw signs. He is close enough that he caught our scent and got up and ran. He has not stiffened.
And he's waiting again. Up ahead.
He has nothing else to do.
No. You've got a wife and children, Charlie. How are they?
They eat well. The doctor has done much to stop sickness.
When did you see them last?
Before this hunt.
You must want to get back to them as quickly as possible, huh?
Yes, Juana.
The lion's wife.
She come closer.
What direction? Where is she?
The wind is against us now.
You don't know where she is?
No, Buona.
Give me the canteen. You ever been to Nairobi, Charlie?
Yes, Buona.
Did you like it?
No. Too many people, too much noise.
I hate the city, too. But I found something there. A reason to live, I mean. A woman. She said she'd be my wife. I've never had a wife.
A wife is good.
Not with this kind of business in the elephant grass. When you think of a wife, you don't do well with a gut-shot lion. Then the rain began to fall, and the center of the stand of grass was now a place of dull gray light and darker shadows. Do you still find sign in this much, Charlie?
Too much. He stay on old trail. His wife has been to him.
Has been to him?
See? His tracks.
Look at the size of that forepaw. It's bigger than I thought.
And here, her tracks, going other way.
What? That puts her behind us now.
Yes, Buona. Now she hunts us.
In just a moment, we continue with Suspense.
He's close, Buona. Blood spores here again. Very close. Our rain would have washed it away. See?
Yes. Very close, Charlie. Give me the brandy.
I have never seen this in you before.
Nairobi fear. And I'm not ashamed to show it to you because you're my friend. I'm going to quit this business. Get a city job. A nice, safe, dull job in the city where you go home every night after work. I've been a good...
She's still behind us.
I've been a good hunter. It's been said that I think like an animal when I'm on a stalk. And I know what the game is going to do before it's done it.
I have seen this with you.
Not anymore. After Nairobi, it left me. After the woman, I thought only as a man. But the female crossed the trail. Did you see her?
Yes, Buona.
I'm going to put her out of the way. You can't have her trailing along behind. Where is she, Charlie? It was close to here that she crossed.
Ahead, Buona. You see? Small grass broken.
I see it now. Come on. Batson. If he fired at her, I hope he did better than the last time.
Armstrong! Are you all right? I'm fine. I got the female. Bend some of the grass against the wind so we can locate you. Here she is. Never did see me. Lying with her back to me in the trail, looking in your direction, I guess.
Waiting for us. We were stalking each other.
When she got up to move to the side, I had my sights on her shoulder. Simple as that. Isn't she a beauty?
Lovely. Her head will go well next to the male's.
Where is he?
Well, we've been only a few paces away from him, but we haven't seen him yet. Now, Mr. Babson, I told you to stay out in the clearing. Why did you come in here?
Because I couldn't let you two finish a job that I bungled.
Well, I want you to go back out. You've done enough for us killing the female.
No, I'm going to stay with you. Now, it was my excitement, my bad shooting that caused it all. I'm staying with you. I'd call myself a coward every time I looked at my trophies if I didn't.
All right. It's your privilege. But any time you feel like turning back, do it.
No, I won't turn back. I'm all right now.
Buona, here is where we were close to him. Rain washed away blood, but marks still show.
Yes, and they stay on the trail.
Not for long, I think.
Let's find out how long. Here we are. He's off to the left.
His back leg's very bad now.
I feel good now, Charlie. No Nairobi.
What does that mean, no Nairobi?
No. A vague term we sometimes use in our trade. Sort of uneasiness. Now, we move in a line a few paces apart. You on my left, Batson. Charlie on my right. When he decides to come, he'll charge anything that moves. So freeze when he starts. Charlie and I will draw his attention and swing his charge toward us. Now, this isn't to favor you, Batson. It's to give you a better target.
Well, I'll have him broadside, you mean?
Right. Don't move your position and keep firing until your rifle is empty. Reload, start firing again.
A few paces this way for me?
That's good. All right, Charlie. Take us to him.
Yes, Warner.
Charlie, ahead. You see the tops of the grass moving against the wind?
I see it.
It could mean he's down and can't get up. At any rate, we know where he is. Carefully now. He'll be less than 20 paces away when we first see him. There he comes. Don't fire. We want him closer. Now hold. Hold that. We're swinging this way. I can't stay. Freeze. I can't hold. Don't run. Open up, Charlie. Does he die, Charlie?
He's dead, Warner.
He doesn't look it, Charlie. You'd think he's ready to charge again, wouldn't you?
He's dead.
Not for Mr. Babson, he isn't.
But Warner...
Get the trophy hunter and bring him here. Load his gun with expanding ammunition. Bullets to finish the thing. To smash it.
Yes, Warner. I understand.
I'm sorry. I ran across him. I couldn't help it. There was nothing I could do.
Well, of course there wasn't. Your first time and all.
Yeah. Well, where is he?
Come here, I'll show you. Over there. You can just see his head. Yes. He'll be ready to charge again if we let him rest. I thought you'd like the final shots.
I would.
All right. Put your sights right under his ear and a bit to the front. Check the safety. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. I hear him. Again. Don't take any chances. One more. That will do it, I think. Well, let's look at him. Well, congratulations, Mr. Babson. You killed your lion.
Oh, but his head! He's worthless as a trophy. His head's blown to bits.
Yes, it's a shame. One of those things. I'm afraid it had to be this way. Yes, it had to be this way. Mr. Babson had not deserved his lion, and it seemed right to me that he should destroy it. It was not the first time that an already dead trophy had been ruined to show contempt of the millionaire gut shooter. It was a thing that the other white hunters would understand. About the other thing, the fear. Only she will understand it someday when she's my wife. Understand and condone it, because it brought me back to her alive.
Suspense, in which Everett Sloan starred in William N. Robeson's production of Game Hunt by Gil Dowd. Supporting Mr. Sloan in Game Hunt were Lawrence Dobkin and Roy Glenn. Listen again next week when we return with another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
With Jim Amici. A tale well calculated it to keep you in suspense. Exactly what you could call a rugged outdoor type. But when an old college classmate of mine invited me to spend my vacation with him on a pack trip in the Rockies, it sounded like fun. So I stocked up on camping equipment at Abercrombie & Fitch in New York and headed west. 5 days later, I was climbing through the pines and aspens of Loveland Pass west of Denver. I was above timberline when I rounded a curve, and there in front of me was a parked car and the figure beside it waving frantically. I had been warned by the auto club not to pick up hitchhikers or stop for strangers, and I was about to drive right on by when I noticed that it was a girl, a very pretty girl, and she seemed to be very frightened. So, against my better judgment, I stopped. Hello? What's the matter?
Oh, thank heavens you came by. Oh, I'm so scared.
What's the matter?
I don't know. My car won't go. I've been sitting here for nearly an hour. You're the first car that's come through.
Yes, this is a pretty lonely road.
I was listening to the radio about that murderer.
The fellow with the pitchfork?
Yes. How did you know?
I heard about him down in Idaho Springs. They have a real Wild West posse looking for him. Cowboys on horses.
Huh. They'll never catch him. The radio says he stole a car. I was afraid when you came along you might be him. And then I saw your New York license plates. He stole a car with Wyoming plates. A 53 Mercury coupe.
Well, you have nothing to fear. This is not a Mercury, and as you yourself have noticed, the license plate's in New York.
Yes. Are you from New York?
Yes.
New York City?
Manhattan Island, right in the middle, 55th and Park.
I always wanted to see New York.
It's quite a town.
Bet it is.
Now, what's the matter with your car?
I don't know. It just stopped. I don't know the first thing about automobiles.
Neither did I, but somehow I didn't want to admit it to her. Because, well, she was so pretty. So I tried to start her and checked the gas and examined the instruments, and then I raised the hood and fumbled around, tapping things here and there in the maze of wires and coils and gadgets, and then I stepped on the starter again, and of course nothing happened. And I realized that all I was accomplishing was running the battery down. Finally, I gave up.
No?
No. I'm afraid it's beyond me.
Oh, what am I going to do?
Well, you can't sit here, that's for sure. It'll be dark in a little while. I think you'd better come along with me.
You? Where?
To the next town. We'll find a mechanic there.
How far is that?
Well, let's take a look at the map. Let's see. Next town's Dillon. Doesn't look very big from the size of the type.
How far is it?
About 25 miles. We've got Loveland Pass to cross before we get there, nearly 12,000 feet. So we better get started.
Do you think it'll be safe?
The car? You can lock it. It's a cinch. Nobody can move it.
I wasn't thinking of the car.
Don't worry about my driving. I'm a very cautious driver.
Well, that wasn't exactly...
Listen, my dear young lady, it's getting late, and if you prefer, I'll be on my way, and you can sit here in the dark all night long.
I didn't quite mean...
It's up to you.
I guess I haven't much choice, have I?
It's up to you. I don't want to force your decision.
I'll go with you. You were right.
About what?
You're driving. I feel perfectly safe with you.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Stanley Dorrance. What's yours?
Pauline Weatherby. People call me Polly.
Well, I'm glad to meet you, Polly.
Thank you, Stanley.
My friends call me Stan.
I'm glad to meet you too, Stan.
And what were you doing up here in the mountains all alone?
Well, I came out from Chicago with a girlfriend to take an art course in Colorado Springs. And we wanted to see some of the scenery before we went home.
What happened to the girlfriend?
The day before summer school was over, she got word her mother was sick. She had to go back to Chicago by train.
And you decided to see the scenery all by yourself?
Yes. But, gee, it's scary.
What, the scenery?
No, the scenery's beautiful, but when something happens to your car, that's scary.
Sure it is.
Where are you going?
Durango. I'm supposed to go on a pack trip with some friends. Uh-oh.
What's the matter?
It's beginning to rain.
Oh, it's probably just a summer shower.
Well, this is just silly. This is no summer shower. It's a cloudburst.
Why are you stopping?
I can't see to drive.
I am sorry.
For what?
Well, if I hadn't stopped you back there, you'd be over the pass by now, sitting in a nice, dry hotel somewhere.
And where would you be? Sitting in the rain all alone and probably scared to death. It's better this way.
You know, you're a very nice man.
Thank you.
I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't come along.
Yeah. Hey, well, what do you know?
What?
Off to the side of the road, a shanty.
Where?
Wait till I train this spotlight on it. There.
Oh, yeah. Hey, maybe the people let us in till the rain stops.
I doubt it.
Why?
Because there's nobody there.
Well, how do you know?
Look at it. Windows broken, door wide open. It's deserted.
Oh.
But I'll bet it'll be drier than this car. Here, wrap my coat around you and we'll make a dash for it.
You think it's safe?
Sure, why not?
I don't know. It's scary.
It's also dry. Come on. Yeah, there we are. How about this? Not a leak.
Oh, scary.
Oh, Polly, everything's scary to you. Here, I'll flash the light around. See? Nothing to be scared of. Fireplace, broken down chair, rickety table. Regular little gray home of the West.
Oh, Stan, look.
What?
Those eyes over there, it's a wildcat.
Where? Oh, silly. It's only a rat. Not a sewer rat, a pack rat. Haven't you ever heard of pack rats?
No.
They're quite harmless. He's much more frightened of us than we are of him.
How do you know?
I read it in a book.
Oh.
Hungry?
A little.
Well, I think it's time we had some dinner.
Dinner? Where?
Right here.
What are we going to eat? Pack rats?
No, I've got some canned goods out in the car and some other stuff. We can be quite comfortable here.
All night?
Well, until the rain stops. You wait here.
Wait here? Alone?
All right, then. You keep the flashlight. I'll be right back. It took me 2 trips back to the car to unload the gear, and I couldn't admit to Polly how desperately I needed the flashlight. For those 2 trips in the pounding rain were not only the wettest, but the longest I've ever made in my life. I was sure there was a vicious wild animal hiding behind every tree ready to pounce on me. I couldn't let on to Polly. After all, she was more scared than I was, if that were possible. There, now, first we'll get a little light on the subject. There.
Oh, a gasoline lantern. Oh, how wonderful.
Now, a little music?
Oh, now don't tell me. You got a radio?
Yep. Battery job for occasions like this.
Police have erected roadblocks throughout 5 states in an effort to apprehend Big Red, who this afternoon pitchforked and killed the foreman of the Lazy R Ranch near Bailey. The search of a mounted sheriff's posse was discontinued late today when it was learned that the killer had stolen a 1953 Mercury coupe with Wyoming license plates. We return you now to our regularly scheduled program.
Oh, Stan, what if he took this road?
What if he did?
Oh, he might murder us.
What for? He doesn't even know us. No, Polly, if this character has any sense, he'll head for the nearest big city. In this case, Denver. Ditch that hot car and lose himself along Skid Row.
Are you sure?
Sure, that's what I'd do if I were a murderer.
Are you?
Really, now?
I'm sorry.
If you've got any doubts about me, you're free to leave.
In this rain?
We are sort of stuck with each other, aren't we?
I guess so.
All right, then. Stop worrying. What'll you have for dinner? Beans or beans?
Beans will be fine. You going to cook them in the fireplace?
Nope. We'll have a fire for aesthetic purposes, but the beans will cook quicker on this little primus stove.
Oh, what a man. You got everything.
Thank you.
In the way of camping equipment, I mean.
That's what I thought you meant. More coffee?
No, thanks. Oh, it was a wonderful meal, Stan. I don't know when anything's tasted so good.
Mountain air. You were hungry.
It's funny.
What?
I'm a city girl. The biggest place out of doors that I know anything about is Lincoln Park in Chicago. I get jittery when I'm not walking on a concrete sidewalk within earshot of a traffic jam. Here I am in the middle of the Rocky Mountains, sitting in the firelight with a man I've only met a couple of hours ago, and somehow it seems to be all right.
Of course it's all right. And in any case, it's a situation we've got to make the best of.
What are you doing?
Setting up the cot.
What for?
You?
You mean we are going to spend the night here?
Looks like we'll have to.
Now look here, Stan. Don't get any ideas of...
Oh, for heaven's sake, Polly, don't you get any ideas. There we are. Now, nice eider-down sleeping bag on top of the cot, and you'll be as snug as a bug in a rug.
I don't think this looks quite right.
Who's watching?
Where will you sleep?
I'll just curl up here on the floor.
Look, you won't get any rest sleeping on that hard floor. I think we ought to go on.
Polly, we can't go on until the rain stops, and we might as well be comfortable. Now crawl in and get some sleep. Better take off your shoes.
But that's all.
Of course that's all. I'll crawl in.
Well, all right.
Comfortable?
Yes. Thanks. And you?
That's great.
Stan?
Yes?
Have you got a gun?
What for?
Wild animals.
No, silly.
And what will you do if a bear comes sniffing around?
He won't.
How do you know?
This country's too civilized nowadays. Why, they even have a television tower on Lookout Mountain where Buffalo Bill is buried.
Oh. Stan?
Yeah?
I'm not scared anymore. Even in the dark.
That's good.
You know why?
Why?
Because you're here. And I think you're the bravest man I ever met.
Go to sleep. Sleep? I couldn't sleep. I was terrified lying there on the floor of that cabin, listening to the rain pounding on the roof. I was uncomfortable and cold, and I thought morning had never come. I must have dozed off sometime because I was rudely and abruptly awakened by the hideous scream of a mountain lion pouncing on me. I was sure I was being attacked by a mountain lion until I realized that it was fully clothed. It was Polly who had screamed and thrown herself on the floor by my side.
Stan.
What's the matter?
Outside. There's something outside. A bear or something.
Oh, stop being silly. There aren't any bears in these mountains. It's probably just our friend the pack rat.
Sounds bigger.
The rain stopped and the moon's out. I'll take a look.
Be careful.
Hey, Polly. Down there on the road. There's a car parked behind mine, and somebody's got my hood up. You stay here. I'm going to find out what's going on.
I'm going with you.
All right, but stay behind me. This may mean trouble.
You'll be able to handle it, I know.
Come on. Hey, you. What's the big idea?
Huh?
What's the big idea, I said?
This your car?
Yes.
Got the keys?
Yes.
Hand them over.
What for?
I'm borrowing this Jeep. I was just trying to bypass ignition, but since you got the keys, you'll save me the trouble. Now hand them over.
Stan, he's got a gun.
Hey,
Break. The traveling companion.
Dad?
Get in, sister. You and me are taking a ride. You'll be nice window dressing in case anybody asks questions.
Dad?
Get in, baby.
Dad!
Do as Big Red says, honey. Huh? Sure, didn't you notice, Polly, that car, 1953 Mercury, Wyoming plates?
Oh.
I thought your specialty was pitchforks, Red. Seems your specialty is talking too much. Where'd you get the gun? That ain't as important as what I'm going to do with it. I'll give you one more chance to hand over them keys, and if you ain't quick about it, I'll take them off your dead body. What good will that do you? You'll never get through the roadblock. I'll worry about that. You can't burn any hotter for 2 murders than you can for 1. Now, if you don't hand over them keys when I count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Polly, bullseye. Where'd you get that piece of firewood you cocked him with?
Had it with me all the time.
All the time?
Mm-hmm. I took it to bed with me.
Why?
For protection.
Well, you two young people are to be congratulated.
Thank you, Sheriff, but it's really Polly who should get the credit. He'd have plugged me if she hadn't cocked him on the noggin.
Still, it takes a lot of courage to stand up before a dangerous killer like you did.
That's not all, Sheriff. You should have seen him in that cabin. He went right off to sleep on that hardwood floor without a thought for mountain lions or bears or anything.
Oh, well, I tried to explain to her, Sheriff, that there aren't any wild animals in these mountains anymore.
What?
Well, there aren't, are there?
Why, the bears come down and raid our garbage cans almost every night. They're a pesky nuisance. And up there near that shack where you were, my deputy Luke Johnson shot a 150-pound cat just last week.
Sheriff, I wonder if she could get me a glass of water. I feel a little...
Why, sure. You just sit there quiet. I'll be right back.
What's so funny?
Well, then you were scared, huh? Just a little bit?
Terrified. Every minute.
Oh, darling, I'm so glad you're human.
Suspense on CBS Radio.